Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Yes, we will get our heads right today on a Monday. I wanted to start the program shouting out a dear, longtime tier one of this program. Our pal Scott, also known as Phoenix Tree Rat. Rat or rodent?
Tree rodent, tree rat, either way.
I thought it was Phoenix Tree Rat.
Yeah.
He turns 60 years old today. So happy birthday, man. Happy birthday, Scott. You're a really, really good dude. And I'm sorry that I always forget your face when I see you. It's happened 9 times. He walks up. He's so nice. He shakes my hand, gives me something. I go, hey, how you doing? I'm Woodsy. He goes, it's Woodsy. It's me. It's Phoenix Tree Rodent. Again.
Hey, idiot.
You idiot. So happy birthday, buddy. 60. We'll be there soon enough, man. Maybe if this job doesn't kill us or one of your plethora.
That was actually
of
a fun moment for me at AleSmith because you're always the one reminding me of who people are.
Yeah.
And I actually got to
That's
remind you.
Phoenix Tree Rat, dude.
Phoenix Tree Rat.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Well, happy Monday to you guys. I always feel better when I get to work because, I get to see our executive producer, Paulie Reindl. Good morning, Paulie.
You got to see me yesterday.
I did. We will get into that in a second. This is amazing, by the way. Benjamin Higgins is our Secretary of Homeland Exploration. Going to be doing a little Homeland Exploration next week. We'll tell you guys about that. We got a lot to talk about, Benny. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. I like Mondays. Well, I don't really, but it seems on brand now after last week.
You have to just say you like stuff.
I like stuff. Yeah, we had graduation on Friday. That was big. It's such a momentous thing.
It is.
Moving
Did you cry?
I got a little teary.
A little misty?
I have to say that graduation ceremonies, while the act of completing school and getting your diploma is such a huge moment, the actual ceremony is such a slog. I mean,
it's a grind.
Sucks all the emotion out of you.
It's a baseball season in 2 hours.
I don't think so. At San Diego High School, where my youngest Graham graduated on Friday, I don't even think it's one of the larger senior classes. They had about 500 seniors. I tried to count in the program that were graduating, that were walking, and essentially the entire 2+ hour ceremony was just them reading the names, and each student had up to 20 words to express what they wanted. They didn't get to read it. The counselors, the people who are reading the names, would read the message, like Arthur Aronson. Hey, I had a great time. Thanks to all my friends and my teachers, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And they went through that, and it was just like section by section by section. It just takes so long to get through one of those ceremonies. And even on it, I mean, it was only like 65 degrees, but the sun was out. I started, feeling the
sizzle neck,
the burn on the back of my neck. It's like, all right. And about the midway through, Graham goes and we all cheer, but then there's still another 200 plus kids to go. And you're kind of sitting there until the end when they get to move the tassel from the left to the right, to signify that they're a graduate, or right to the left, whatever it is on the tassel. And then that's it. And it's over. And it was just, there weren't any speeches really, which is great. Performances. It was just name after name after name after name.
Logistics question for you.
Yeah.
Is it appropriate to leave when your kid's name, after your kid's name is called? Because he's got to stay, right? He's got to
stay, circle around, go back.
What are they going to do if he leaves? What are you going to do? Kick me out of school?
We had to be there at the end for him, give him a hug.
Throw the hat.
See that moment at the end.
Okay.
Now, my oldest son, he left the second Graham's name was
That's genius.
My kind of guy.
That's perfect. He's out of here. What a special moment. On the flip side of that coin with your kids, we tried to potty train our 2-year-old Taylor this weekend, and that was super dupes fun. I didn't know that these little people carried so much urine in their system. Just urine everywhere. My house is just covered in urine. There's urine all over the place. Couch, bed. It's super fun. And the way that it works is you just take their diaper off them and you hear this mantra for 72 hours. Taylor, tell mommy or tell daddy when you need to use the potty. Tell daddy if you have to go potty, Taylor. Taylor, you tell daddy if you have to go potty. And his answer to all of it, no. Normal kids will say, okay, I'll tell you. They don't. They may not. Tell daddy when you have to go potty. No, I don't want to go potty. You do want to go potty because you just urinated all over my bed. We were watching Home Alone, and now I'm covered in urine. So you did want to go potty. You just didn't want to go.
Now, I saw your kids on Friday night. They looked dry.
We started.
They were with the grandma.
They're with grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Taylor came home. They had beat the crap at each other at the country club. And Taylor had a big shiner.
Yeah, I saw that moment, actually. He handled it pretty well.
He's tough, dude.
We were all thinking, oh, he's going to lose it here. This is
tough.
bad. But
he's tough as nails.
He looked like, he looks like he's going to be okay. Because I saw that moment. We were having dinner on one side, and then
they were outside.
They were running around outside.
Heathens.
And there was like a collision and looked kind of bad. And I thought, everyone's going, he is going to just start bawling. And he didn't really.
He's tough as nails. And yeah, they beat the crap out of each other now. It's super fun. It was a very fun, relaxing, urine-soaked filled weekend at my house. And it's just stressful. It's just Hannah left, took Bo to a birthday party. It was like, hey man, do you want to stay? You want to go to a little kid's birthday party, or do you want to stay here on urine duty? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, all right, I'll do urine duty. And they're gone for 3 hours. So it's me following him around. Tell dad if you have to go potty. Tell dad if you have to go potty. No. And it's so hard. It's just so difficult. But it was all made better yesterday. So I had a baseball game that it was a doubleheader that I got to play yesterday out at San Pasqual High. And all week I'm texting the thread. There's a big thread of the guys on the team. Guys, are we good? A lot of guys out of town. We got 2 games. Like, there's a lot of baseball to be played today. Are we going to have enough guys? Yeah, everything should be fine. Yeah, we got at least 9. 2 hours before the game. Hey, if anybody knows anybody, we may need some bodies. And I'm like, I just said it. I've been saying we're going to need bodies. I could have been working on this for a week. Nothing. So I go, do they have to be, because it's 45. It's the 45 league, 45 and up. And I said, do they have to be 45? And they're like, whatever. The other team probably won't care. So I called my beloved Paul Reindl, who lives 5 minutes away from San Pasqual. And I go, what are you doing?
At like 12:10.
At 12:10 for a 12:30 start. Ooh. At 20 minutes. And I go, hey, man, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm helping my mother-in-law fix this door. I go, all right, yeah, great. Can you be at San Pasqual in like 20 minutes? We need a body up here. He goes, yeah, I think I can do that.
That's like those guys who occasionally get called up from AAA, but don't arrive until the game starts.
Exactly
and then,
right.
Hey, we're going to need you to come into the game here in an inning. So get ready. You're on the field.
So we had the youngest 45-year-old ever out there on the field yesterday. So Paulie came in, hit a couple of absolute piss missiles, speaking of urine, all over the field.
Did he get any like side glances like this guy?
No, because the other team had a guy that was younger too. We were at this point, you just want to play. You're out there and nobody was going to be calling into anybody's IDs or anything, but it was fun. I got to spend my afternoon with Paulie and play some ball with him. And we won the first one, lost the second one. I got pitched game 1, pitched the whole game. I'm dead. I could barely walk. Paulie played some immaculate defense for me over at third and first. So got that dub, man. That felt pretty good. So that was fun. And then I walked right back into urine town again. When I got home, I walk in, my son is nude sitting on the couch. And I'm like, you're gonna piss all over this couch again, aren't you? At some point. So it was heavy, man. It's a long weekend. It's long potty training weekends are horrible.
You may just have to keep them on like the hardwood floors.
Dude, I know.
Outside like, for a couple of days.
Stand there. There's got to be a better way. I don't know what it is, but I defer to my wife's judgment on this. And I tried my very best, but yes, a lot of urine. I mean, he wasn't the only one that, soiled himself this weekend as well. And we will get into the San Diego Padres at some point today.
We will. It feels like we'll be doing multiple shows today. Because since
don't we always?
We always do. Well,
Jekyll show, the Hyde show.
On Tuesday through Friday, we're generally just talking about the previous day's game. On Monday, we have multiple games to talk about, and generally
we're gonna have one fun segment.
Well, that's the thing. It's weird because when we talk about yesterday's game, obviously it's just bitterly disappointing and one of the worst performances of the year. Then we'll talk about Saturday's game, and it'll be light and cheery, and it's an amazing performance. Maybe their best of the season. I really thought Saturday's game was as good as I've seen the Padres play. Complete effort, top to bottom, in a game all season long.
Yeah, agreed.
And then we'll go back to Friday and talk about, I think, perhaps one of the games you'll point to and say, this is one of those games where a season pivots on, that you can't lose. You can't lose a game like Friday, a matchup like that at home to start a series. Just a devastating loss. So we'll be doing multiple different shows today. And I mean, I guess the preponderance of evidence would be that the Padres are more the disappointing team, since two of the games were disappointing and only one of them was a spectacular performance of incredible baseball skill.
Yep.
And I guess that's what baseball really is. It's not a game of what can you do on a given day. It's a game of what do you do over the long haul and most consistently. And right now the Padres are not playing consistent baseball. They're just not doing it. And, you have to accept at some point that they're more of the team that struggles than the one that plays well. Not that they can't switch at some point, become more of the team that plays well. It's obviously in there, Woods. It's obviously in there. We've seen it multiple times this season. How do you get it out more often than not and become a good team?
Maybe. You're in. Don't have an answer for you. I wish I did.
Nor do many of the players when you ask them, the manager, when you ask him. It's become a real problem. So
yeah, it was a fun one. Fun weekend to be in San Diego.
We will talk about it. Again, Saturday was really fun. Loved that game.
Yeah, it was great.
Thursday was great.
Glad I went to Saturday's game.
I'm glad
literally alternated. Thursday and Saturday, two of the best games of the season. Would you say? And
have we had any victory Mondays in here?
Friday
ever?
and Sunday, two of the worst.
Has this team ever won on a
Has
Sunday?
this team ever won on a Sunday?
Didn't they win last Sunday?
Did they?
I think they did.
We were off Monday, so suck it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and we were back on Tuesday. They had one on Sunday.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
All right, so we will talk about it. We will also chat with our friend Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue. It's a grand old Monday. I always like talking to Jordan, who will be with us at 8:35. Around that, all of our normal features, the Rhino Report, Don't Do This, Take on Woods, and, of course, the Daily Ditty coming up next. Paulie says we had a listener win last week, but they didn't make their selection, so I guess I've got to come up with
snooze you lose
both a song and a theme in the next couple of minutes for our week.
I can do it if you want.
I was warned.
I'm ready.
And I didn't really do it. So
I'm ready.
Maybe we'll discuss that during the break. We'll come back.
You guys can negotiate a trade.
That's possible, yeah.
We could.
Come back, get things started here on a Monday. Glad to have everybody with us. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station. Get our first check of traffic right now with Kelly Danek here on 97.3 The Fan.
That is Lost Cause by the great Beck.
I like that. I don't think I've heard it.
It is beautiful. So my theme, now listen, you hear Lost Cause and you go, oh, well, this fits great for our baseball team. That's not why I picked it. I have a very weird, abstract theme for this week. Beck, Ben, you have heard probably one Beck song.
I'm a loser, baby.
Correct, which is unquestionably by far, not even close, his worst song of all time. And I think many have pigeonholed him into, oh, that's that guy that sings Loser.
Good practice for my Spanish speaking.
Oh,
Soy
un
perdedor.
not bad. It's not bad. It's actually really good. He's been practicing.
Just do that for the next 3.5 hours.
So he gets pigeonholed. I want to do bands this week whose most famous single is their worst song. I have like 100 of these in my head. It's like you don't even have to go deep cuts, really. That's a kind of a deep cut. He did an acoustic record called Sea Change.
But don't pick that song.
Don't pick that song. Bands
you would have picked. So your song today actually doesn't follow your ditty.
it's bands.
Loser would follow your theme.
No, I don't want to play.
You don't play that song.
I don't want
another song by a band
who's been
Oh, I
pigeonholed.
see. Okay, so
Yes,
not playing.
song.
Okay, gotcha. I got you.
is not a good song, at least according to Wood.
It's almost like give me a deep cut from a very famous artist that has one huge song that everyone knows, all right?
That's what they're associated
and that's
for.
what they're associated with. And I think, if you hated the song Loser like I did, you may never have picked up another Beck album, but you have to go dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Get one of those like emotional, ballads by the Baja Men, who are known, of course,
for Who Let the Dogs Out.
But
You're like, you guys, trust me.
they really have some
This song
great
is
stuff.
fantastic.
On song number 9 on their debut is a banger. I mean, it is a straight up banger. Well, yeah, I mean, the songs, bands that have this one big song, one hit wonders, if you will, and maybe there's a little bit better song if you go beneath the surface. It's going to make you guys work a little
so
bit.
like you could go to the Baja Men Spotify page, and Who Let the Dogs Out has damn near 120 million
Yeah.
streams. But
The next
have you
one,
guys
though,
ever heard Best Years of Our Lives
I bet it's amazing.
with 7.6 million?
I bet it's amazing. That's what I want to do. Does that make sense?
Mostly people misclicking on Who Let the Dogs
So,
Out.
and you can, they're huge bands, right? Like Pearl Jam. People are like, oh, Alive, hate that song or whatever. Man, there's so many better songs if you just do a little digging. So I want to ask you guys to dig a little bit, and dig below the surface for this week's Ditty selection. How's that?
Good. I
All
like
right,
it.
good.
Good theme, and does require a tad bit of thinking, and that's fine. No problem with that. Let's see. You are doing well on our bet, our weekend bet that we made, our $10 selection. We keep track of them on the whiteboard. You picked the NBA Finals to go either 6 or 7 games.
Mhm.
I have it ending in 4 or 5, but with the Miami Heat winning last night, it's now all even at 1, which means unless one team or the other wins the next 3, then you are good to go on that $10 bet.
Well, you're
ending
plus-
your losing streak.
You're plus 40 right now on me.
I think I was down
So-
10 or 20 when this started. I'm on a winning streak, and you have a good shot of ending that after the Heat won last night, 111-108 in game 2.
Honestly, and Paulie, mark this because you may never hear it again. That was one of the best basketball games that I've ever watched. I watched the majority of the second half, and to watch the Heat be able to come back from a pretty big deficit, to watch how they closed it out down the stretch, I actually enjoyed it very much. And I looked at those teams. You know what I saw, man? I saw 2 teams that are very easy to root for. They're both just very, very easy to root for. And you feel like whoever, the Heat have won their share in the past. The Nuggets never have. Would it be cool to see Denver hoist a trophy? Sure, it'd be awesome. But man, I have such a huge crush on Jimmy Butler. He had some comments over the weekend that I loved. Did you hear what they asked him about, hey, how do you process this game 1 loss? He's like, I think I'm going to an escape room tonight, and then I'm hanging with my daughter. Like, she's gonna love me regardless. I was like, dude, look at he said, not everything is gonna be about basketball, guys. Not everything is gonna be about basketball. He goes, that's how I stay centered. That's how I stay focused. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna go to an escape room. I'm gonna hang with my daughter. That's what it's about for me. And look, there are people right now that are probably like, that's not what you want to hear from a guy, in the NBA finals. But I'm not going to be that guy that says that. I think that is a great perspective, much like what Embiid said after the season, or I think it was Giannis talking about, we're trying to grow. Not every loss is devastating. That's the kind of perspective I love about sports because it's absolutely true.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler seems
He's
to
awesome,
have
dude.
even after the game last night, I asked you a question, and he goes, how did you guys bounce back? It's just we don't give a D factor, is basically he said. It doesn't matter what people say, it doesn't matter what happened in the last game. You turn the page, you move on. Even quarter to quarter. The Heat jumped out to an 11-point lead, and then we're down double digits in like the blink of an eye.
Just
the Nuggets
like that.
went on a 32-11 run.
God.
And at that point, I was thinking, oh, this series may be over. I mean, we just saw the best that the Miami Heat had to offer in the first part of the first quarter, and the Nuggets erased it and turned it around like that, like nothing. So I don't know that Miami can win a game in this series. And of course, because it's Jimmy Butler and that team, it's like, all right, so what?
There's no panic.
Now we're down 15.
There's no panic.
Doesn't matter. Let's just keep playing. And they did. They had a great fourth quarter, held on, survived a Jamal Murray 3-point shot at the buzzer that would have sent it to overtime. Not a bad look. I know a lot of people were criticizing the non-timeout by Mike Malone, the coach of the Nuggets. I thought the most you can hope for is have your star player with the ball and get a pretty clean look at a three-pointer. They got that. It didn't go in. And now the series is headed back to Miami for game 3 on Wednesday. And you feel like the Heat are absolutely in this. They've got home court advantage. They know they can win in Denver. That was one thing no one knew. The Nuggets had won every home game in the playoffs. Yep. Could they be beaten at home? Well, now you know you can do it because you did it in game 2. It changes the series, I think, immensely.
They did their job. They went on the road. They stole one.
Yep.
And that's what they had to do. And it was such an exciting game down the stretch. These teams are, I think, a little more evenly matched than anybody gave them credit for. But yeah, watching I'm just gonna call him Joker. Watching him play is a revelation. I mean, it's truly, truly a revelation. Big, tall.
He doesn't look like he should be allowed to be that good.
He doesn't. And you look at him and you're like, he's so white and slow and gawky, but it's also very graceful, very elegant, very very, very good basketball player that dude is. Just watching him,
it's like watching a lineman do ballet or something. You know what
it's like, dude? It's like all I thought when I saw him was Drago from Rocky 4. Like he's so much more immense than anybody else out on the court. And it was just and he threw up his 41 and you still beat him at home.
Which is the weird stat.
Amazing.
Every time they've scored at least 40, they lost. They do not win when he has to do all the 40, scoring.
Yeah.
They've got to get the other guys involved. He only had 4 assists. Murray didn't have a great game, only had 19 points. He needs to be better. Most of the supporting cast actually needs to be better for the Nuggets, and they usually are. I still think Denver's going to win this series, but now I'm pretty sure that you're right. It's going 6, maybe even 7 games after Miami was able to pull off that win last night. So a little bit of interesting basketball for you. We'll get into the Padres, though, with our Padres wrap-up. Start with yesterday's just poor performance. It's hard when you get down so much early in the game. I know a lot of people were saying Padres showed no fight again, and they didn't really yesterday. I'll kind of admit for the first time that I didn't see much from that team in the game yesterday. A lot of teams get down 7-0, and you're not going to win those games very often, that's for sure, but a disappointing end to the weekend. We will go through that. Had some moves over the weekend as well involving the injured list, players who didn't go on the injured list, maybe could still go on the injured list. We'll talk about all of that coming up next with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Big Box Storage. Visit bigbox.com. Need to rent a storage unit? Forget renting and loading a truck. Big Box Storage delivers the storage unit right to you. Load it at your convenience, and it'll be picked up and accessible in your storage unit. Need storage? Get the storage you need with free delivery and pickup at bigbox.com. All right, yesterday, hopefully this goes fairly quickly in the Padres wrap-up, because there was almost less to cheer about in yesterday's game than any game this season. I mean, we've seen a ton of painful close losses, and we always said maybe it would just be easier to get blown out and not have that painful gut punch of a one-run loss. Well, it happened yesterday. Did you like that better than the one-run losses? Not really.
I mean, I don't. You're going to make me wait an hour to talk about Friday night, which is where the vitriol and the lividity is going to pour out of me.
I won't put you in a big box at all.
No.
If you want to talk about Friday night when we come back, you can do that. But
No,
we'll start with the Padres wrap-up.
I like to stick to the schedule, so we'll work backwards. But just know it's 7:35. I'm not happy. That one, to me, is the worst loss of the year, period. Friday night's loss. So I'll save it. I'm very mad.
All right, we'll get to all of it coming up after this check.
But
traffic.
Yeah, yesterday it was over in the second inning.
Yeah.
Good. Go on with your day. Paulie and I were out trying to dominate the adult league scene. That's what we did. Trying to make plays, trying to get knocks. That's what we're
Did you
trying to
win?
do. Won the first one, lost the second one. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Padres.
Showed some fight.
Showed some fight in the second one.
Good.
Yeah, battled back in the last inning.
But ended up kind of winning and losing one and then losing the next.
1-1, lost one.
Yeah, like the Padres.
Just
do.
like the Padres.
Almost every single
Almost
day.
every day.
All right, we'll get to our Padres wrap-up after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Well, big problem on the coastline, guys. Stop on 54 Oceanside Boulevard. This accident involving a couple of trucks and a car. It's an overturned crash blocking middle lanes, so huge backup behind that. Up ahead, just past Manchester, we have reports of a stalled car in the center divide. Also a stalled car on the southbound side of the 15 before the 52. Somebody is actually changing a tire over to the right shoulder, very close to that slow lane, so please move over lane if it's safe to do so. That's South 15, right before the 52. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change Centers. You don't have to get out of your car, and it usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for discounts and locations nearest you. Valvoline Oil Change Centers are open 7 days a week. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Oh, God, here we go. Jesus Christ.
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
2-2, ground ball slowly towards third. Manny charges, it's a fair ball, gets rid of it quickly, airmails it over the head of the first baseman, Rivas. At third base, Horner making the turn on his way. The throw comes in, not in time. On a ground ball to third base, Cubs going to get the first run of the day as Horner scores all the way from second. Happ ends up at second, and it's 1-0 Chicago in the first. Here's a line drive, base hit into left field. Happ rounding third, going to try. Soto's throw is on the way. It's on target. The tag, and he's out at the plate. Juan Soto throws Ian Happ out, trying to score from second base. That'll end the top of the first inning. Going to hang a star for the Padre left fielder who picks up the assist and helps Ryan Weathers get out of this with limited damage. 1-0 pitch. That's hit in the air to deep center field. Trent Grisham's going back. He's on the warning track at the wall. Better believe it. Yan Gomes has done it again. The Padre killer. Second home run of the season against San Diego. His career average against the Padres about 100 points higher than it is against everybody else. And the Cubs lead to 2-0 here in the second. Here's the 3-0. Mancini hits that one well in the air to deep left field. Soto goes back, looks up, going to go. Back-to-back home runs for Gomes and Mancini. 3-0 Cubs here in the second inning against Ryan Weathers. The 1-2 to Swanson is on a rope out towards left center field. Grisham's not going to get there. That'll get both runs home. Amaya has scored. Morrell rounding third. He's on his way. Swanson into second with a 2-run double. This is a 4-run second inning for the Cubs, and they lead it now 5-0. He is considered the catcher of the future in the Cub organization, and he hits this one a mile to deep left field. Soto goes back, looks up, gonna go. First major league home run for Miguel Amaya. 2 for 2 on the day. That is the third home run the Cubs have hit this afternoon. This one a 2-run shot, and it's 7-0 Chicago in the top of the third. Here's the 1-1. Soto hits it on the ground to the right side. Fair ball, knocked down by Mancini. Rolls into foul territory, picks it up, steps on the bag. That's 1 out. Grisham comes in to score, and the Padres are on the board. A 1 from Hughes, sent in the air out to deep center field. Tauchman backing up into the shadows. He's got room. He makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Marcus Stroman and the Cub bullpen do great work here this afternoon. And after the Cubbies jumped in front early on, they never looked back, and they win the game here today by a final of 7-1.
More than anything, it seems like we're about to turn a corner, and then we don't. So we have to keep fighting to turn the corner. Stroman pitched good. He pitched 6 innings. We still had some chances against a bullpen too. So it shouldn't, with the guys that we have, it shouldn't be, if it's 7-1, feel like we can't come back. So it was a bad game overall for us.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
It's
still not as bad as Fridays.
I know we're trying to go on schedule and we go backwards. It's hard to talk about yesterday's game without the context of Saturday's game. You just heard Bob Melvin say it. Felt like we're starting to turn a corner. He genuinely, if you heard him pregame yesterday and then postgame, he genuinely said we were really excited about this game yesterday. We walked into the clubhouse off of Saturday's high thinking, okay, let's keep that energy. Here we go, people. They were, according to Bob Melvin, and he's seen it all. He's been a manager for a long time. He felt that clubhouse was locked in and ready to go yesterday.
Apparently 93 down the middle does not get outs at the big league level. Ryan Weathers has been bad. He's been bad. Doesn't make it out of the second inning. 5 runs,
good in April,
7 hits.
May and June.
We're in June now.
Has not been good.
That's a problem, you guys, because Seth Lugo is not expected back for his next turn in the rotation. So Nick Martinez is not stretched out to be a starter anymore, has found a nice role. You talked about fight, Ben, and sure. I mean, we haven't seen a hell of a lot of offensive fight. The Yankee game, they were down. They got it back to where they were a swing away, but if there's one group on this team that fights every single day and fights their ass off, it's this San Diego Padres bullpen. These guys fight every day and they keep you in games, and they have really all season long. And the starting rotation, for the most part, have also done their jobs this year. And that's one of the most frustrating things is you're getting good pitching, you're getting quality pitching for the most part, and your bullpen is starting to lock in. Guys are starting to know their roles in the bullpen, and they are going out and they're executing and they're fighting their asses off to keep it, within striking distance for the offense. It's seemingly they're doing it every game. They are fighting hard. You know who else posts every day for the San Diego Padres, Ben? Their fans. The fans of the San Diego Padres post every single day. They post by listening to this radio station, listening to the games, by watching the games, and most importantly, by showing up to Petco Park and posting and laying down their hard-earned money every single day to fill that stadium, to sell it out. They're posting. It's time for the players to start caring about all of those people that post. It's time for the hitters to look at the guys in the bullpen and go, these guys are killing themselves to keep us in ball games. We've got to do our jobs. We have to do our job.
3 more sellouts this weekend.
Yep.
I think at 20 this season, they're going to obliterate
They're posting
the
every day
record for Petco Park. And I hear Bob Melvin. I hear the players say it almost every day. We should be playing better for these fans at home. I wish we were playing better for these fans at Petco Park. But the Padres record at home, and you take away the 2 home quote unquote wins in Mexico City,
take those out,
has been abysmal. They've been terrible at Petco Park this season. And it's been a real problem how the Padres have played home baseball in front of. It's one thing if you're the Oakland A's and you got a terrible home record when you're playing in front of
17 people
in an empty mausoleum. There's no energy. There's nothing that would get you up naturally, but not a problem at Petco Park. And yes, I know there were a lot of Cubs fans this weekend as well. There always is. They find their way into ballparks. They follow their team around, but there were still plenty of Padres fans with plenty of energy in the ballpark. And when things don't go well, they're letting the Padres know about it as well. They're not simply the Sunshine San Diego fans. A lot of boos, as you would expect, as this team has deserved over many of their performances this season. When it comes to Ryan Weathers, Bob Melvin left it a little bit TBD as to what's going to happen. His next turn in the rotation should come Saturday in Colorado. Padres have off days on Thursday and Monday. You just talked about the bullpen. I would rather see a bullpen day on Saturday than throw out the possibility of Ryan Weathers at Coors Field. Giving up a dozen runs in a game like that.
That may be the perfect. That may be the perfect spot for him. Hey, bud, you got 110 in your arm that we're going to use it. If it's the fourth, it's the fourth.
Hopefully the offense can hang with whatever.
What I don't want to do is go burn up a bunch of guys that are actually settling into roles in that dumpster of a stadium.
Yeah, but with off days surrounding both days of the series, you can actually use a little more of your bullpen in those days.
I get it.
On a day like that.
I get it. I just don't want to be hamstrung for the next series. I hate that place.
Well, you got Monday off. That's the thing. That's why you shouldn't be hamstrung if you do that.
One day off, though.
Thursday and Monday off.
Right. And you play Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
If you're
going to use a ton of arms.
You used 3 bullpen arms yesterday.
Yeah.
You can't use 3 bullpen arms next Saturday, 3 innings each, and
you could
make that your start as opposed to I just don't know that you can trust Ryan Weathers right now to go back out there and keep giving you that, because you can't be losing games, especially to the Colorado Rockies. One of the few teams that is still behind you in the standings. You can't lose those games anymore. We gotten to the point. Today feels, and I hate saying this, today feels like a must-win game for the Padres. You lose 3 of 4 at home to the Chicago Cubs. You lose 5 of 7 in the season series to a Chicago Cubs team that is not expected to be there at the end. It's bad enough that the best you can do is a split and a 3-4 record against the Cubs this season. You kind of feel like you got to get this one tonight. You've got to turn this around. And
I know we're looking ahead. Looking ahead to the Colorado series already has got us all in our feelings and kind of sick to our stomach, but there's really no help coming either. Jay Groom, who was the last pitcher cut, and all of us really kind of expected him to make the team. Remember when it was like, oh, they're gonna bring Groom in? They're like, who's Domingo Tapia? We weren't even really familiar with his game at that time, and he ended up making the team. Jay Groom got cut. Guys, he's 1-5 with a 906. His whip is 2.16 in 52 innings. He's a mess. He's a total mess right now. Matt Waldron has logged some innings down there. He's 1-4 with a 724. Reese Kinnear is pitching okay down there, and maybe that's a guy you come up with. Reese, welcome to Denver, my friend. Take the ball, give us 3, and we'll Drew Carlton it up and Tom Cosgrove it up after that. But really, for a game like that, Ben, you said his start was scheduled to be Saturday.
Saturday would be his next start.
Yeah, you got to find a way to win on Friday and Sunday then, pretty much at this point. But I know that's down the road a little bit. Talking about tonight's game against the Cubs, you got Kyle Hendricks on the mound. Doesn't throw hard, but he's going to thumb you to death. He knows how to pitch, and he has pitched very well against the Padres too. So again, your gut should not be gut shouldn't be dropping for a Monday night game against the Chicago Cubs.
As problematic as the offense and the inconsistency has been all season, going forward, I'm actually more worried about the pitching depth for the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
Yes, they could get Seth Lugo back and be just fine, but what happens if 2 guys in the starting rotation are out for 3 weeks? What if you lose Musgrove and Darvish for 3 weeks? Who are you calling up?
Right.
There's no one there right now. Cole Hamels, I haven't heard word one other than extended spring training for a guy like that.
2 guys
There's no starting pitching depth in this organization right now.
2 guys that are a little bit on the upswing is Kinnear, as I mentioned, and Anderson Espinosa had a disastrous April. In May, pitched much better. 2-0. He's got a 4.94 ERA and 5 starts. But listen, I mean, that's how thin it is right now. So again, the pressure ratchets up on Blake today. It ratchets up on Joe. Yu Darvish pitched beautifully the other night. You have those guys, and they need to do their jobs. Michael Wacha, every time he takes the mound, you're like, is this luck going to run out? I mean, he pitched great the other night. So we got to keep rolling, man. But again, a lot of this could be alleviated with an offense that was consistent and capable of scoring runs and adding on.
You've heard Bob Melvin scratch his head, go, I'm not sure what it is. I thought we were going to come out and play well. The players don't seem to have any answers either. Got some interesting comments yesterday from Juan Soto after the game in the clubhouse about what is going on with this Jekyll and Hyde hit and miss Padres team.
I don't know. I don't think I'm the guy who respond to the question. I think we have those guys down there. They know better than me. I don't know. I really don't know what is going on. We have such a great team, but I don't know. It is. I just don't know what is the answer to that question.
Well, there was a lot of
those guys.
There was a lot of speculation as to who are those guys down there. Could be anything. I mean, it could be one. I've only been here for a few months, so ask someone who's been around here longer in the locker room. Some people said, well, maybe are they talking about the front office staff, the analytics people? Is it the coaches? Who is he referring to? I'm not going to go down that road of speculation when there's literally 500 answers on what that could be, those guys down there. I will say that it continues to be a problem that no one has any clue as to why the team could look so good one day and so poor the next day.
Here's Bob basically asked the exact same question about the inconsistency, a game like Saturday night and an answer on Sunday like yesterday.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you it's going to be consistent at bats. It's going to be gaining some momentum with several wins in a row, with some good games in a row. We have not been able to do that. And like I said, it felt like several times here in the last, 10 games or so that we were about to. Last night, good game for us, come with some energy today and, down early and you just couldn't pick it up. So we're going to have to find it.
Padres have three game winning streaks this season, and the last one ended on May 1st. That's how long it's been since and 3 is not some incredible streak in baseball.
That's the most they've won in a row.
3 is the minimum. Some people would say that's the minimum to even call it a streak. And that's the most they've won in a row all season long. And that hasn't happened since April 29th through May 1st. Since then, they've had 3 2-game winning streaks is the most that they've put together in a row.
Moreno says that response sucks by Soto. Don't deflect. How about you give an opinion as a leader on what you're seeing? Is Juan Soto a leader?
I would argue no.
I would also argue no.
He hasn't been around long enough, hasn't produced enough when he's been here. He's been hot. Last month was pretty good, but that doesn't make you a leader on the team. He's a guy that makes a lot of money, but that doesn't necessarily make you a leader. He's also not locked in long term,
right?
Which makes a difference.
Right.
Is Xander a leader?
Right.
Hasn't been here long enough. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think the only people who can be leaders are guys like Manny
Joe, Tatis.
Yeah.
Joe. Yeah.
We'll continue to discuss it coming up. We'll look at the good game on Saturday. Whole different show coming up next on The Fan. All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Ben and Woods back with you at 7 o'clock on a Monday morning. I'm almost glad that Saturday's game happened on a Saturday. Not that I wouldn't have loved coming in the next day and talking about a 2-home run game by Fernando Tatis Jr. and an outstanding pitching performance by Yu Darvish. But I think I would have felt silly then having to come back the next day and go, well, what did we do the last 4 hours yesterday? Waste our time talking about a team that looked so good, that looked like, it had made a statement, that it had turned a corner, so to speak. That's the phrase of the weekend, turn a corner. Like you thought you did it, you haven't done it yet. And so we didn't have to come in and spend those 4 hours gushing and glowing and, man, what a great atmosphere on Saturday at the ballpark. It was a great game. I thought at the time, and I still think it, I thought that was their most dominant performance of the season. May not have been their biggest win by run margin. It was only 6-0, but the Padres hit the ball hard all night.
Took it to them.
The Yu Darvish, the Cubs never really even threatened to score. I think they had a runner at second at one point, and that was about it. It was a dominant, all-around, terrific baseball effort by a team that looked like it was going places, that looked like it was ready to finally fulfill the potential that we talked about all offseason and spring training. So I'm kind of glad we didn't have to come in and do 4 hours on that game, only to next day come in with egg on our faces going, that show we did yesterday about that great baseball team?
Scratch it.
Yeah, scratch it.
Delete it.
We're going to talk about a completely different team again today. Now we have the perspective of an entire weekend to break down and say that when you play 3 times and twice you play poorly, even if the other game you play fantastic, you have to admit at some point that the team that you are is the one that more often than not plays poorly than the one that plays well.
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. It is. It's hard to say, maybe we're just mediocre, right? Maybe all of us were wrong. Maybe all the pundits were wrong. Maybe the players themselves were wrong. Everyone had a smile on their face in the offseason. Everyone had a smile on their face at spring training. And everyone thought, yeah, this is going to be a juggernaut. And to be this many games in and to not even really be sniffing the word juggernaut. Not even a jugger, much less a juggernaut. We're not even a jug at this point. They're knots. They're more not than juggernaut. And it sucks. It sucks. It sucks for them. It sucks for us. It sucks for the fans that fill that stadium every single night and scream their asses off. It really sucks for them. And I don't want to hear, I saw a couple of comments on an Athletic article of, well, they play at Petco. So, I mean, they're going to get Petco'd from time to time. It's a hard ballpark to hit in. Other teams have no problem coming in here and dropping D all over this ballpark. No problem. None whatsoever. None. Zero. So it's not the ballpark.
I mean, the Cubs had 6 hits total the first 2 days and 2 runs. They were also struggling to score until yesterday.
Well, I'm not necessarily talking about the Cubs, but I'm talking about every team that comes in here and hits more home runs than we do, essentially, in our very tough to hit ballpark. I'd love to know who's hit more homers at Petco, us or the opposing team. I really would. I'd like to know what that looks like. But there's a lot of excuses right now floating around. There's a ton of stuff, being said and talked about and written about. And, it's
Padres have hit 33 home runs at home this season. Padres have allowed 63 home runs. Is that true? My God.
There you go. Apparently,
I got to switch it to home. That didn't seem right. All right. Now the actual number is 38.
33 and 38.
33 and 38.
Yeah, that should not be the case, especially with the lineup that you're running out there on a pretty much daily basis. I understand Manny been out for a while, but he wasn't hitting home runs anyway. With some of the guys you got on this team, that should not be the case. But so other teams are coming in having no problem hitting at Petco, finding gaps, etc.
That also includes the 2 Mexico City games, by the way, because they are listed as home games.
Okay.
Yeah,
that changed.
Subtract a few.
That changes it. Makes it even
and
worse.
Road totals, but So you're right. It's not an excuse. It's not a ball. I don't think that the ballpark has anything to do with the team this year. I really don't. And I don't want the Padres to. I'm not going to get any satisfaction if Jake Cronenworth or Manny or Juan Soto gets up in front of the media and goes, "Yeah, we're mediocre." I don't want them to think that. I want them to think that every day is the day they're going to break out and be the team that they thought they were going to be, that they are on the verge, that they are one big inning, one big game, one big series away from gaining that confidence and going on a massive run. And I know it's frustrating for fans to hear it over and over again and then not see it happen.
Well, we lived it. We lived it in 21, albeit with a different lineup now, a healthy Fernando Tatis Jr., which makes it even harder.
But do you really want this team to just say, yeah, I think we're just mediocre? I think we need to accept that we're not that good of a baseball team and just be happy with being 500. You don't want that, right?
Well, no, nobody would ever say
I think
that.
The only alternative is that to remain confident, to remain the belief in your own talents that you're about to turn it around. And I don't think it's a not working hard enough problem. I really don't. I think it's a confidence problem, and I think it's a consistency problem.
What about culture?
You know me. I don't believe that that's a big deal. I think every team in baseball, it's not an episode of Ted Lasso. The Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, they don't all get along. Their front offices don't get along with their coaching staffs all the time. It's always a work in progress. The teams that win always seem to have a good culture, and the teams that lose always have a bad culture. I don't think it really matters that much. That's my personal opinion. I know there's a lot of people who would disagree with me, but my personal opinion is that every team in baseball has conflicting personalities. Every team in baseball goes through ups and downs. And at the end of the season, we're always going to say the teams that won, oh, they had such a great culture. And the teams that lost, oh, they had such a bad culture. And I don't think that's really the case. You go into your own workplace, whether it's a
Doesn't
radio
it make
station.
sense to take a team that's historically bad and say it's a culture problem? Like, that's the culture. It's a losing culture.
Right. That's
the Oakland A's have a terrible culture, and it starts right at the top with the owner.
Right.
And that trickles down to the entire organization.
The Rockies. Now we have a good owner here.
That's what I would say. The Padres have a very good owner.
Yeah, that's confounding.
I would also say the Padres went to the National League Championship Series last year without making any changes with the organization, essentially from last season to this season.
I mean, yeah, they had a new manager. So
last season. No, it's the same manager as last season.
No. Right.
Last year to this year, there's no change. So
that was a culture change, though. Right. Getting a new manager.
Right.
They went to the
and
NLCS.
they went to the 21 to 22.
Right.
Culture
so
change.
was it a good culture last year, or did they get to the NLCS even though they didn't have a good culture? I don't know the answer to that.
You can win games and win at life in spite of bad culture.
And you can lose games with a good culture.
Right.
So I can't tell you which one it is, whether last year they won even though the culture wasn't great, or this year they're losing even though the culture is okay. So my take is always, I don't think it matters that much.
Performance.
I think performance in baseball trumps everything by a mile. Sure, it's always good to feel good about your employees, but as I was saying, you go in any office, you can work in a place where people don't hang out after work, they don't get along that well, but the company is doing great, they're successful. Or you can work at a place where everyone gets along really well and have a great time, and the business is doing poorly.
Or you can do both.
Sometimes,
you can have both.
You can have both.
That
you
exists.
can have neither.
It exists.
They do. But to me,
I would still say the first scenario, the company where nobody really hangs out, but everyone's doing well, and the company's crushing it. I would say that's a positive culture.
Yeah, because everyone's
Successful.
eating, everyone's winning and eating, and winning does help.
But that's the winning that creates the culture, not the culture creating the winning.
Maybe something to ponder.
I would
Can't
always
win if you don't have all the tools.
Right.
I would always rather put together more talented and good pieces in my organization than spend a lot of time worrying about a nebulous concept such as culture. Sometimes a bad culture is one where people are too friendly and get along. There's no one challenging anyone. Is that a good culture or a bad culture?
I would say that's a bad culture.
When everyone's happy and getting along, there's no disagreements at all.
That's a bad culture.
That could be a bad culture.
Absolutely.
But it can also be a bad culture where everyone's bickering all the time and no one getting on the same page, and they're always challenging each other too much. it's such an ethereal concept. Culture is not something that you can just dictate. Write down on a piece of paper and say, all right, here's our culture. I'm going to put it on the wall and you follow these steps and we will have a good culture. It doesn't work like that. Culture is created from within,
right?
Usually by winning. You have to start winning and then you create the culture from that. You can't.
No, culture is created by process. Process creates culture. And by process, you get winning. If the process is wrong and the process keeps changing and there's massive, massive turnover, the culture's wrong. And you can't, it's harder to win in that way.
Padres haven't had that much turnover.
Then
they have the same owner, general manager. Yes, they've changed manager, a couple of times for sure.
Right.
So they have changed that, but they didn't change it from last season when they went to the National League Championship Series.
Right.
Correct?
I mean, you've added in what we all thought were better pieces, and that hasn't worked. So don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys.
We need a contestant for Take on Woods. We got into this discussion and the time starts flying away. 833-288-0973. We got a new prize this month, I believe. It's the month of June, trying to qualify someone for a 2-night stay. Pretty cool prize. We'll tell you all about it. Call in now, 833-288-0973. And Paul, you'll have to let me know when we have a contestant because my screen is completely blank over here, I just noticed. So we will play our game in just a minute or two as soon as you call in. Musical trivia, 5 questions, as we do most mornings here with Woods on Ben and Woods on Monday here. So we'll do that in a second. We will also talk about the game that really has infuriated Woods. Friday's loss to the Chicago Cubs coming up as well. All right, do we have someone calling in? Not yet. All right, still waiting. See, I don't know. I can't tell or not. So now we're kind of in a limbo situation. Limbo.
We got one. I hope he's playing.
Hope he's calling for the game. All right, let's do it. Let's play Take on Woods. All right, we got Greg calling in. Greg, you ready to play our game?
Ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, here's the new prize this month. You can be the first to qualify for a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas. 2 tickets to Luke Bryan, 5-time Entertainer of the Year, lighting up Vegas with his high-energy headlining engagement at Resorts World Theater. Party continues, shows August 30th to September 9th. Tickets and VIP packages on sale now at AXS.com, Access.com, and RWLasVegas.com. All right, you get to choose our category today and Take on Woods. Your choices are The Butcher's Knife, as submitted by Tier 1 Anthony. Every response having something to do with meat. In the Pantry, 5 different bands whose names all include something you might find in your kitchen pantry. And In the Dark, 5 musical answers that include the word dark. So, Greg, of those 3, The Butcher's Knife, In the Pantry, or In the Dark, what would you like to play?
I'm going with the Pantry.
In the Pantry. Okay, fun one. Today we're looking for 5 different bands whose name all includes something, again, you might find in your kitchen pantry. You'll have 60 seconds for the 5 questions. Say pass. If you don't know one, we'll come back if there's time left on the clock. First question is the 2-second song. Paulie will play a short clip. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point. Remember, each band contains the name of something you might find in your pantry. Ready to play, Greg?
We'll see.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music in the category In the Pantry. Good luck, Greg. Let's take on Woods. Nicknamed the First Ladies of Rap, which group had hits including Push It and Shoot?
Pass.
Which band became famous in Seattle with a Cubs fan from San Diego as its lead singer?
The Meat Puppets?
Incorrect. Which soft rock band from LA hit #1 on the charts in 1970 with their hit Make It With You?
Pass.
Which group found major success only after Fergie joined the lineup in 2002?
Black Eyed Peas?
Correct. Go back to our 2-second song.
All right, nope.
Nicknamed the First Ladies of Rap, which group had hits including Push It and Shoot?
Oh, God. Yeah, I know it's
Yeah, I got one, Greg. I doubt it's going to be enough, but I'll go through the answers here. You got Black Eyed Peas. That was Every Morning by Sugar Ray. Salt and Peppa, the First Ladies in Rap. Pearl Jam is the band from Seattle with a Cubs fan from San Diego. It's its lead singer. His name is Eddie Vedder, Paul.
Heard of
And
him.
Bread is the name of the Make It With You 70s band. So we got sugar, salt and pepper, jam, bread, and peas. Things you might find in your
I
pantry.
think we have a 5 for 5.
I think so. We'll see how Woods does. He's been hot in this game lately. Woods has been tough to beat. See how he does in the category. Doesn't get to name it. He'll figure it out as we go.
Just
All
tell
right.
him what he's playing for.
You are playing for nothing.
Well, you're playing for nothing. Greg was playing for.
Luke Bryan tickets at Resorts World in Las Vegas.
If
you win every game this month, you could
I
keep
could
anyone
keep
from
everyone
going to see
from
Luke
going.
Bryan.
Just go 30
God,
for 30.
Pressure is on.
All right, here we go. First time this month. Let's take on Greg.
That's Every Morning by Sugar Ray.
Correct. Nicknamed the First Ladies of Rap, which group had hits including Push It and Shoop.
Salt and Peppa.
Correct. Which band became famous in Seattle with a Cubs fan from San Diego as its lead singer?
Pearl Jam.
Correct. Which soft rock band from LA hit number 1 on the charts in 1970 with their hit Make It With You? Which group found major success only after Fergie joined the lineup in 2002?
Black Eyed Peas.
Correct. Which soft rock band from LA hit number 1 on the charts in 1970 with their hit Make It With You?
Sort of food
Mm-hmm.
or condiments or something. Butter and margarine.
Ah, not bad. Close. That was bread.
Bread, damn it.
In the pantry was the
In
category.
the pantry. Oh, what
yeah,
a
you had
great
sugar,
category.
salt and pepper, jam, black eyed peas,
Okay.
and bread. But
Oh,
you
I
did
like
win by a 4-1 score
Thank you.
today on Take on Woods.
Bread. Hey, what do you guys want to call the band? I don't know. How about bread? Sounds good to me. Bread.
Nice and soft.
Very, very soft. Bread.
Bread.
How about I like roll? No, that's too avant-garde. Let's go with bread. Biscuit. No, I like bread. Bread.
The Biscuits would have been a
The
better
Biscuits
name.
would have been a better name.
Is
than
there
bread.
not a band named the Biscuits out there?
There
There
should
needs
be.
to be a band named the Biscuits. All right, we got Don't Do This coming up next. I actually have a do this. We may have the next Tiger Woods on our hands in the game of golf.
That always goes well when that happens.
Yeah.
When we say
Greatness,
we've got
though.
the next.
I know, but this one actually
Is he related to Tiger by chance?
not related, but a lot of similarities between this athlete and Tiger Woods. We'll get to that coming up next after a check of traffic. Spencer Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
Dumbass.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't Do This
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
Sometimes it's nice when we can have Don't Do This to take a break from discussing the Padres just for a moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes the Padres are just the don't
They
do this.
are.
Yeah.
They just are. I will get us started today.
Just have this song playing throughout the entire
Throughout the
show,
whole show.
after we lose.
Yeah, this is a story that I think we need to pay attention to because you and I, Woods, are occasionally asked to appear at events,
Things.
charity functions, be MCs, speakers. We're doing it tomorrow.
Tomorrow, and
Yeah.
have you vetted tomorrow's appearance?
I know the person who invited us, and I have certainly heard of the Rancho Coastal Humane Society.
Okay.
So I think we're okay there. But didn't go well for a professional soccer Champions League referee, Sisman Marciniak.
This is
Incredible.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
He
incredible.
was invited in his position as a referee to speak to what he was told was a charity and networking group. And
Sounds legit.
in Poland.
What's the
It's
name of
native
the
Poland.
organization?
The name of the organization it's fairly innocuous. Let's see the name. What was the name of the organization again? It was Everest.
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 Okay.
You know, people
Summiting
climb
the
to
mountain,
top of the
climb
mountain,
to the top
like,
together
okay, yeah.
as a team.
I don't know. Are they actual mountain climbers or is that symbolic? I'm not sure.
Okay.
But went to speak on May 29th. Got in front of the group. They were all there, gave his talk about being a referee, what have you. Didn't realize there was a problem. It was then reported later that this Everest group, not necessarily the best of people. In fact, they have a slogan. Their organizer has a slogan that is,
Oh my god.
"We stand against Jews, gays, abortion, taxation in the European Union." Also known for their they're pro like white stances. They have they made a beer called White IPA Matters.
Oh my
And
god.
this referee, of course, in soccer especially, immediately came under fire for appearing at this group. He apologized profusely, saying he was misled. He was not told at all what kind of group it was. He thought it was simply a charity community organization and wanted to try to do a good thing and show up and be their guest speaker, but didn't do enough vetting apparently.
What's
with
the
where he spoke?
What's their slogan again?
We stand against Jews, gays, abortion, taxation, and the European Union.
So very clear.
It's like
on-
if we showed up tomorrow thinking, "Oh, we're going to help some nice animals," and
No.
it turned out to be a Ku
Hey,
Klux
hi, good
Klan
morning.
rally.
Yeah, that was me. They just wanted me to give a speech. They what?
They did what?
What?
Who is it?
What?
Yeah.
Why are you guys all wearing hoods?
Yeah. Why is everyone
This meeting.
dressed in hoods here?
Hmm.
I don't think we have that issue
I don't think so either.
tomorrow. You see this in baseball from time to time. It always kind of makes the headlines when it happens. Atlanta Braves DH Marcell Ozuna taken out of Sunday's game against the Arizona Diamondbacks, Ben, for not hustling after hitting a drive to deep center field. Manager Brian Snitker confirmed after the game he hit a smash dead center field and ended up settling, Ben, for a 415-foot single, because when he hit it, he thought he got it, so he watched it, and it didn't go out. Just a mortifying feeling, I can imagine. And
We've seen it once or twice.
Yeah, we
here
have.
in San Diego.
We have. It hit an overhang just below the line that marks a home run. So then next thing you know, Snitker yanks him out in the sixth. It replaces him with Sean Murphy in the 6th inning, and his quote was, "I guarantee you he feels worse than I do for having to take him out." Yeah. So, I mean, that's you got to lay the law down.
That's interesting.
sometimes.
You didn't have to take him out.
No, he's DH. Like
you could have said something. You could have talked to him, but you didn't have to take him out of the game. That's a choice.
It is.
That he made.
It is.
And maybe it's the right choice.
Yeah.
Maybe it sets an example for everybody else on the team going forward.
You bet if you do that, like you really, and I've seen, oh my God, I've seen Xander do it. I've seen Manny do it. I've seen Toddy do it. I've seen a lot of guys do it. It happens. You think you get it, and you're like, oh, that wasn't counting on that wind gust or whatever. I wasn't counting on it hitting that overhang. That's a home run where we play or whatever. And yeah, no good, bud. Got benched.
All right, finally, do this.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
Keep your eye. If you haven't heard this name yet, you will, I promise you. The next big thing in golf. Her name is Rose Zhang. She just finished her career at Stanford by winning an NCAA title, her second individual NCAA title. She won more tournaments while at Stanford than Tiger Woods did. And this weekend, she made her professional debut, went right to the LPGA Tour, got a sponsor's exemption, an invite to play in the Mizuho Americas Open at Liberty National in New Jersey. Guess what she did? First tournament ever. She won in a playoff over Jennifer Kupcho yesterday. Oh, by the way, she turned 20 about a week and a half ago.
Beastly.
Her swing is so pure, Woods. This is a swing. If you ever wanted to play golf, try to copy this swing. It is just as fluid and perfect as I have seen in such a long time.
Better than mine, huh?
Yeah, a little bit better than yours. Definitely better than mine. It's the first player to win in their professional debut on the PGA Tour since 1951 when Beverly Hansen beat Babe Zaharias in a playoff. That's how long it's been since someone has done that. You know how overwhelming, their first pro tournament is. Even Tiger didn't win his first pro tournament. He needed to play in 4 or 5, I think, before he finally won one.
Incredible.
But she won the very first one, and it looks like she's going to be someone who is around for a while, the next big thing in the game of golf. And her name, Rose Zhang from Stanford. That's Don't and Do This for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Nice win by Victor Hovland yesterday on the PGA Tour
Very
as well
nice.
at the Memorial. Made a big birdie on 17 and then had Denny McCarthy make a bogey on 18 to get to a playoff. He won in the first extra hole at Jack's tournament in Dublin, Ohio. Probably a popular selection for the U.S. Open, which is coming up next week at LA Country Club up there in Los Angeles.
Heard good things about that place.
I have never played it.
Heard really good things.
Beware of the barranca, they say.
What is the barranca?
It's like the dry riverbeds that we have. We have them on a lot of courses here in Southern California, but it weaves in and out of the course at LA Country Club. You'll see it on TV a lot next week. All right, we'll come back. Woodsy's been waiting all show to talk about Friday's game. To me, the
worst loss of the year.
Yeah, I think that there's a fair argument to be made for that. That's coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's inexcusable.
This hour 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by SC Johnson Off. Welcome back to Ben and Woods, 740 here on a Monday morning on 97.3 The Fan. Got some good news. Just got confirmation from our friends at the Rancho Coastal Humane Society. Tweeted us at Ben and Woods. Can confirm we are just pro animal welfare. See you tomorrow.
Okay, good.
We're not being duped into speaking to some problematic organization tomorrow. We're just emceeing their golf tournament.
We show up, everyone's dressed in blackface and hoods and stuff. Oh, this is not for us. We're in the wrong place. This is a legit organization. Yeah, Paulie said he's gotten a couple of his dogs from Rancho Coastal. So very fine organization. Happy to represent them tomorrow. And they knew the way to our hearts. Come out and MC our golf tournament. That's a done deal from Ben and Woods and Paulie tomorrow. Piece of cake.
Could have thrown in a don't do this for yesterday's second base umpire.
I mean, what the hell?
I have never seen that before in a Major League Baseball game where his name is Ryan Wills. And by the time
Ryan Wotes.
By the time you get to the big leagues, your mechanics should be pretty good when it comes to umpiring. Where you're supposed to stand based on, who's on base, where the ball goes. I mean, that's second nature once you get to the big leagues and you're an umpire. To see an umpire standing in a base path from first to second with a runner trying to get to second base is like unheard of at the big league level. I mean, occasionally, you can't get out of the way of a line drive or a hard grounder. It hits the umpire. They feel bad about that. They don't want to be part of the actual play or the action on the field. They try to get out of the way. But I've never seen it where a runner is getting, a very close play with Jake Cronenworth sliding into second base. Might have made it in time because it was a close play,
Very
even
close.
though he ran into the umpire. And nothing that they could do about it.
That's such garbage.
All they got essentially was an apology. Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
And I don't know what he said, but
if you swing a bat and it hits the catcher's glove, that's catcher interference.
Yeah, I got one called on me yesterday.
How is there not umpire interference?
No kidding.
Let the crew chief or let the home plate. Somebody has to be like, no, he's safe.
Remember Sully's play where not Sully. What's his nickname? Boots. What is it?
Booty.
Remember Booty, Ben, when he was behind the dish and ball's fouled back? He gets up, goes to run. The umpire's standing there. Booty has to go through him back to the fence, makes a phenomenal catch. One of the better catches you'll ever see from a catcher. That's a tough ass play when the umpire's not in your way. That's the second time this happened in a matter of 3 weeks or so. This one was confounding. I couldn't believe it. You have to get second base on that. You just have to. They have to give you second base. That's our bad.
Well, Bob Melvin went out and argued with the crew chief and with Wills. He just said he made a mistake. Nothing they could do about it.
I saw his body language. He had both hands out like, what do you want me to do? Well, I want you not to be in the base path when I'm running.
That's what I'd like. Let's start with that.
Start with that. And your apology means nothing. We're trying to grind our way back into this game. Me being at second is a pretty big deal. That ended the inning there.
Would have been bases loaded with Matt Carpenter coming up.
Exactly. So, one swing, you're right back in that game. And it's stupid. Umpires already have so much. So they change the game so much. And I say it every year. It's getting worse. Balls and strikes are getting way worse. And then you throw this stuff in there, which has never been seen before. Not to my eye. It's just staggering.
Speaking of staggering, so was Friday night. We'll get into the series opening loss to the Cubs at Petco Park right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danek.
Traffic is sponsored by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. The speeds are getting back to normal on South 5 Coastline. They cleared that accident right before Oceanside Boulevard. Fortunately, no other problem spots on our freeways. The Big O Tires Clear Ride, westbound 56 from the 15 all the way to the 5. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department is working hard to keep San Diego safe. It's now hiring. The Sheriff's Department offers rewarding careers with growth, and there's an opportunity for anyone with integrity that wants to make a difference. Go to joinsdsheriff.net to learn more. That's joinsdsheriff.net. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I'll say again, I said it earlier, and I tweeted this yesterday as well. Yesterday's loss, as ugly as it was, is not entirely unexpected. No, you're going to lose games in a baseball season when you throw you're probably worst starter that you have right now against the other team's best and hottest starter. And Marcus Stroman won 4 straight. He hit the Tampa Bay Rays last time out. Best team in baseball.
Yeah,
So he came in on fire. It was always a bit of an uphill battle for yesterday's game.
Well, and your pitcher gives up 6 runs in 2 innings. You're out of it, man. Marcus Stroman's on the bump. You tip your cap and you move on.
You're hoping in a game like that. Maybe, Ryan Weathers can have a good outing, keep it close, and then we score a couple against the bullpen in the end and steal. It happens all the time. We don't know what happens in baseball. But for the most part, you look at a game like that and you go, all right, this one, if you're looking at this 4-game series, this is the one that the Cubs probably think they need to have.
We said it on Friday. I absolutely said on Friday, you're going to run into one of the hottest pitchers in baseball on Saturday, and that's Marcus Stroman. You try to hang in and maybe scratch one out.
The inverse of that game, though, in the series was Friday night. The Padres are throwing Michael Wacha, who that day was named the National League Pitcher of the Month for May. And the Padres are going up against Jameson Taillon, who has been awful all season long with an 8+ ERA. You look at that game and you go, all right, the Cubs probably know, it's probably not going to be our night this night. We'll try to hang with them, see what we can do. And if we lose, well, we'll come back in the rest of the series. So when you lose a game like that on Friday night, you've already basically lost the series.
Correct.
At that point.
Yep.
Now, they may split the series today. Maybe they, pull off yesterday, could have pulled off a miracle and still won 3 of 4. But essentially, you have given up the one game that you were definitely supposed to win in that series by losing on Friday night. That, to me, was the biggest mistake of the weekend, the biggest problem for your San Diego Padres.
I was absolutely repulsed after that game on Friday, like shaking mad. You throw up 10 runs in Miami. You get on a plane. You fly your asses back to Petco Park. The fans of San Diego pack that place to the gills on Friday night. It is rocking. You got your hottest pitcher on the mound. You got Jameson Taillon probably shaking in his boots after what he saw the day before. And you let that guy with his 8 ERA come in and dominate you. Dominate. You got 4 hits, 2 infield singles. That's all you could manage in that game. And you have Rougned Odor. By the way, of those 4 hits, he got 2 of them. You got Rougned Odor. He had the only extra base hit as well. Rougned Odor, rounding first, feels something in his groin, almost goes down, and then ends up going down and crawling his ass into second base to get an extra bag after the bobble in center field by Tauchman or whoever it was. That guy lays it out on the line for your team to get you one more bag. And what do? You lose that game 2-1. You struck out 10 times. You got 4 hits against Jameson Taillon. First win of the season for that guy. He went into the 6th inning. He should have been out of there in the 3rd, period. You scored 10 runs a day before. How do you let that guy come in? That guy who doesn't have great stuff. He doesn't. He does not have great stuff. His stuff was not nasty. It wasn't moving. You just sucked. You sucked. And you got to treat those games. You got to treat those games like you're going up against their ace and just lock in more, lock in harder against it. That was a game I think they looked at and said, we could roll out of bed and win this game tonight. And man, and then to watch Rougned lay it out on the line for you and you get runners on. And what does Xander do? And I texted you, Ben, I said, man, I can't tell you how many times in my life Xander Bogaerts has taken a 93-mile-an-hour fastball and put it off the green monster. I've seen it 1,000 times. What does he do? Pops up. Was it pop up? I think it was pop up. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well,
it just doesn't make any sense. That was the worst loss.
One explanation would be, well, you got a bunch of guys slumping. No, I mean, you surrounded that game with 2 of your best offensive games of the season.
Correct.
It really does defy explanation. I think your theory is as good as any. I mean, it felt like a game. Maybe they just thought they were going to roll out and win, and it doesn't work that way in baseball or really any sport.
And by the way, Waka, he was fine.
He wasn't
as sharp as he had been.
is,
He
but-
gave up 2 runs, 2. The death knell for the San Diego Padres when your starting pitcher gives up 2 runs. Guys, that's one you have to win.
He walked 5, but none of those walks came around to score,
No,
actually.
I mean, he did his job, man. He gave you a chance to win. Again, who else came in and posted for you that night? The bullpen, again, came out and absolutely murdered it for you. Cosgrove, Wilson, Timmy Hill, 4 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball. Only 1 hit given up by the bullpen with Steven Wilson. And that's not enough to inspire you. Rugi Odor crawling into second base isn't enough to inspire you to win that baseball game. 40,000 people screaming on their feet. That's not enough to inspire you to win a baseball game, man. I know it's hard. I do. I know it's really, really hard. But it shouldn't be that hard against that particular pitcher.
The good news for Odor is that he has made apparently remarkable progress since Friday night, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see him back in the game tonight in the series finale of the Cubs. You all met Xander Bogaerts, and he was finally given the day off yesterday. And I think that they made kind of more of a admission than wanted to. That wrist has really been bothering him. They got off to that start, and his wrist, though, has clearly impacted. He came around on those inside pitches, the ones that you said he murdered in Boston. He's just not being able to get around on those pitches with the sore wrist that he's been dealing with. Bob Melvin gave him the day off. I think an IL stint is still a possibility. He wants another cortisone shot. Padres won't give it to him.
Why not?
They say that you get too many cortisone shots, it can cause ligament damage. And you have to wait like 2 or 3 months at least between them. He had one right at the start of the season. They say it's too soon. I mean, he's begging for a cortisone shot, and the Padres are saying, to their credit, I mean, the easy thing for the Padres to do would be, all right, he wants it, let's give it to him. They're trying to look at the long-term health of their player. They don't want to do any damage. They've signed him for 11 years. The last thing they want to do is create an even worse problem by being short-sighted and, not giving him the proper treatment. So they say he can't really have one until the All-Star break, and they're going to have to figure out other ways to treat it. But if they can't, it does feel like, Xander Bogaerts is not going to be Xander Bogaerts until he started to feel healthy again. Now, he's dealt with this for the last 7 years, he said, in Boston.
Yeah.
He's been a darn good player over those last 7 years. So clearly he knows how to manage it and has been able to do it in the past.
Just no pop right now. And, that's
no.
He's a singles hitter right now, and that's got to be a symptom of that wrist.
And while he's been good defensively, he's hurting the team with his offense, and maybe part of the problem that we've seen from the Padres this year. One tangible thing to point to: Manny playing at less than whatever Manny's supposed to be. Bogaerts trying to get out there, feeling the responsibility of those contracts, going, I just signed for all this money. I have got to will myself out there. But it doesn't help your team to will yourself out there and then put up a 600 OPS.
I mean,
because you're not who you are. It's actually better to let someone else play if you can't be a productive player.
I didn't know about this wrist injury. I didn't when he played in Boston. I did not know he was grinding through a wrist problem for 7 years. Padres did and still signed him. So now it's our problem to deal with. One of the probably big reasons that Chaim Bloom and John Henry did not re-sign Xander Bogaerts is, hey, man, you've got a degenerative wrist potentially. Yeah, I'm not going to give you $250, $300 million. In steps the San Diego Padres. I love Xander. I hope he figures it out. I want him here for a long time, if healthy. At this point, do what you have to do to get your wrist healthy, man. Honestly, like we saw what has happened and what is able to happen with Fernando Tatis Jr., Ben. For the first time in a long time, we're seeing that kid with a repaired shoulder, his repaired wrist, and he looks like Fernando Tatis Jr. of old. So I know it sucks. Do what you have to do. I mean, if he needs a cortisone shot to get through the season, then give him a cortisone shot, in my opinion. I'm not, I've said on the show many times, everyone calling for a guy to go in and get a surgery and go get surgery. It's not that easy. These guys, it takes time to heal. You got to come back. You're afraid you're going to lose any momentum. If you can play through it, you can. Obviously, he's not really able to play through it. I'm not talking about going to get wrist surgery. I'm talking about hey, man, here's a shot. It's kind of a bummer, but if it helps him get him where he needs to be, I really don't see a problem with that.
And Padres say that they can't give it to him for at least another month and a half.
So here's what's funny. So 6 weeks from now, it's fine.
Yeah. I think you can have about 3 a year without doing any damage.
Give me my 2 now, and then I'll wait on the next one. I got to see if this team's going to be in it at the break before you give me another cortisone shot. I don't know. I mean, it's probably easier said than done. Probably,
I'm not a doctor.
Probably hurts like a bastard to get one.
I'm not going to pretend to play a doctor. Let the medical people, give their advice and their opinions on what's safe and what is not safe for a treatment. I certainly, would never want someone to do, like a family member to go through a procedure that a doctor was telling you don't do this.
Yeah, but
it's not a good idea.
But a procedure, in my opinion, is different than getting a shot. In my opinion.
I mean, I don't know why it would cause ligament damage, but if they say it does,
maybe.
I don't think they're making that up. I mean, I don't think they're looking for some excuse to not let Xander Bogaerts feel better.
Why don't you give him some of your marijuana oil that you're so
I don't know.
into
Is that illegal?
now?
That's illegal in baseball.
No, he's
isn't
on
it?
the 40, man. He's good.
He's good.
Yeah. You can smoke a joint at shortstop and can't get popped.
All right, we'll come back. If you missed the Reindl report on Friday, we've got an expanded version of the story that people were talking about at the end of our show.
Here, Gooch Grease
coming up next.
All right, we are halfway home on a Monday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Excuse me. Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue will join us on a grand old Monday today. Going to talk some baseball with Jordan. Maybe get out of the Padres' head for a little while, focus on some of the other matchups around the league, some of the other performances we saw over the weekend, big time players, big time teams making big time moves. And so we can get into all that, whatever you guys want to talk about.
If it makes you feel any better, the Dodgers lost 2 out of 3 this weekend, as did the Diamondbacks.
It doesn't, because we lost 2 out of 3 also. So
right.
It really doesn't make me feel much
So
better.
did the Giants, lost 2 out of 3 this weekend.
Yeah, so did we.
You didn't lose any ground, though.
Right.
You just held where you were.
Yeah. I took away from the weekend, I was most excited to see Jamison Talion get his first win, and lower his ERA. That was really cool for Jamison Talion to come in and, find the fountain.
The Talion or Talion?
Talion.
I'm not sure.
I mean, might as well be Nolan Ryan as far as we're concerned here in San Diego. It's the worst loss of the year by far. It's going to make me, it's made me sick. That made me sick. Just a terrible, terrible game on Friday night. But you know what? Turn the page, as the great Bob Seger says. And we're on to Kyle Hendricks today against Blake Snell. So strap in for that one. 6:10 start. The whole show is going to be in attendance tonight. Big celebration out at in the Odyssey Suite. My first time in the suite this year. Very excited. I've not been in yet. And Adam has ordered a bunch of food, and I'll enjoy the game for 3 innings with my dear friends here.
Creating some culture.
Creating some culture.
Yeah.
Well, see, we've won already. We've been winning. So that helps with culture.
A little
in my
bit,
opinion,
yeah, for
I
sure.
guess, yeah.
Maybe the Padres need to do a day in the Odyssey Suite and watch a game.
We play, they watch.
Yeah, get some food, have some tri-tip nachos,
Yeah.
build some camaraderie
I think
among the team.
It was family day yesterday after the game. So maybe that was some positives for some good culture.
That feels like forced culture. Doesn't it to you?
Some ponies.
Yeah, what?
They had ponies.
There's a pony there?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't they have a camel there one time?
Yeah,
Was
last
that last year?
August, Juan Soto rode the camel and hurt
Scared
his
me
back.
to death, yeah.
Get him off the GD
Family Day.
camel.
Yeah, keep him off the camera.
Maybe part of the reason for his slow start with the Padres. was
Maybe
the
just
family day related camel injury. They did not have camels.
just
yesterday.
bring in some kittens and some puppies and call it a day. Well, that's good. I'm glad they got to celebrate a loss with their families. That's good.
So in my other job, I work, of course, at ABC 10 News. Was there last night. And I'm always amazed when I see what happens at other local TV stations around the country, like the decisions they make, the stories. We've played a few of them over the years.
The leprechaun story.
Leprechaun story.
They ran it. And you said you really ran that.
They really ran the story
some-
about the leprechaun in the tree.
Some news director said, yes, go with it. And they're like, are you sure? You want me to go to Crichton and interview these people that say they see a leprechaun in the tree? And the guy said, did I
To me, it look like a
did I
leprechaun
stutter?
to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun? Say yeah.
Yeah. So you want me to go with this?
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly
Right.
disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations
It's
for the
casting
image.
a shadow.
My theory is it's casting a shadow
Right.
from
From
other
groundhog.
limbs.
Could be a crackhead. Got a hold of the wrong stuff. So some news director said, yes, I saw your
Yes.
package. It looks great. Run it.
What really happened on that Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death?
That was an outtake. Paulie. They did not run this.
No.
This did not get run. But,
No, but it's still the greatest,
country ass
it is.
town.
It is.
greatest
It's the greatest
non-news segment
non-news
that ever
story.
didn't
But
hit the air.
this next story,
Ran.
and
It
we
fully ran.
Paulie had it on Friday in the Rindle Report, but we didn't have the full audio. This was a choice. This was a choice that perhaps they call it news you can use. It's always a big slogan in our business.
Oh, yeah. News you can use.
A story that can impact the daily lives of their viewers, maybe make their lives better in some way. And I guess I can see the argument behind it. Let's make some of our male viewers more comfortable somehow. An idea they may not have considered that people are apparently doing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's run it.
Want to just go?
Let's go. Yeah, it's a
this
guy.
was a 7 minute.
7 minutes.
I mean, what's
7 minutes?
What are the average hits?
What's
in
your 90
90
seconds?
90 seconds.
90 seconds is considered a full story or package generally on the news.
Well, the fine folks at Fox 26 in Houston dedicated 7 minutes of airtime to
Gooch Grease.
Gooch Grease.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. When my producer sent me this topic, I had to stop my lunch. I just couldn't eat anymore. It's a male hygiene problem or issue called Gooch Grease. I was like, what the hell is that? And after Googling it, I was bothered, victimized, bamboozled, led astray. It's described as a culmination of lint, sweat, and dried up pieces of feces between a man's butt and balls.
All right,
First of all,
you can't say that on the news.
Maybe this is more of a featurey hour than the hard news hour. Just his casual tone. He sounds like a newscaster. I'll tell you that.
He does.
But I don't know, the topic, the way he speaks,
I feel
is
like,
not the normal.
I feel like he's under
newscast
contract, and they wanted to take that. I feel like he's under contract, and they don't like him anymore. But he's still under contract, and they're like, just do what does he call it? The Factor.
Yeah, the Factor.
You're doing a 7-minute segment called the Factor. Doing whatever you want.
Yeah,
just so he earns his money.
It's like a feature, like a weekly feature or something like that.
Say balls like that in that context on the news, can you? If Ben got up and was like, and yesterday Jake Cronenworth took one to the balls, like we'd be we'd fall over. You can't say that.
We can say balls all the time.
Sure, yeah, the balls
we're
in the
a
air.
sports station,
right?
The word balls is inherently intrinsic to what we do. Of
course,
golf balls, baseballs, basketballs, footballs.
He also said
That's the least offensive, most scientific.
It's the worst
name
word
for it.
DD mega doo-doo.
Just say that.
Doo-doo.
All right, keep going.
First of all, who are these men? But the problem is so bad for some men, according to some reports, they now have to use women's maxi pads to stop the mixture from messing up their underwear. It's a mixture now. Let's get into this. Joining me to talk about it, Steph Shafter, influencer Bevan Biggers, and media personality KG Smooth, and comedian and sports journalist Barry Laminack. So Barry, have you? I don't know what to do. So Barry, when you walked in, you dropped this.
Maybe you should get a wipe.
It's clean. You did a good job today.
All right. So Barry, have you ever heard of this before?
Look, not really. I haven't heard of it by that name, but there's some foul dudes out there for real. You know what I mean? Like, dudes that it's kind of disgusting. I will say this, man. As you get older, you get bigger. See, y'all don't have to worry about this, but as you get older, you get bigger, you sweat more. It's real simple. If this is a problem for you fellas, you don't need. I feel gross touching that. Maybe just hit it with some baby powder. Just put some baby powder on
You
it.
say baby powder, but what about all the little dingleberries that you
That's it. I'm done. I mean, what are we doing here? That's
an
a
actual
news segment.
Yeah, a televised segment.
Does it run at midnight?
I have no idea.
We got to find out when the.
It doesn't
Factor
sound like it was particularly well researched. They didn't have doctors' comments.
Here's another tip. Don't have 5 people all talking about the same thing. And it just sometimes people will do podcasts and stuff, and you're like, oh, cool, there's 6 of you. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be really, really good. Even we, trained broadcasters, talk over each other all the time. That's you could hear it just start to get away, and everyone's laughing and snickering. That's one of the worst news segments I've ever heard. I don't think I can continue after she said dingleberry. It's a great word. What are you doing? It's such a great word. Is there a more perfect description for something?
I can't picture Kimberly Hunt leading that discussion. I just can't.
Yeah, use a bidet. use a wipe, and take care of business. You don't need that pad there. You don't. You shouldn't. If it's that bad,
But
you
even
should
if
go see
you
a-
did, is it that big of a deal? Is it newsworthy? Is it a newsworthy story? Even if people were doing
like a
this?
life hack. Hey guys,
Yeah.
just FYI, I know that you put Gold Bond on, and I know that you carry around dude wipes in your pocket just in case. Actually, try this. This Kotex. Is that a brand?
Probably.
Yeah. Stay free, stay fresh pad, and just
Summer's Eve.
No, that's something different.
That's-
You take
You shouldn't use
you
that.
take this off, and then you stick it on your bunch, and you go on with your day, and then you're good. You peel it off at the end of the day, and you're fresh. Just go to the bathroom, wipe. So that was that. Holy cow! Whew. Thank you for that, Paulie.
There's definitely, and I have struggled with this, but you have to be very professional to say awkward words on television without making them sound awkward. Kimberly's very good at it.
Like what kind of
just any kind of words that are somewhat embarrassing, like when you have to read a quote from someone.
Does anything pop to your mind that you had to read?
Genitalia, like words like that.
Save that.
You have to be able to say it confidently in a way that doesn't make people see. You always giggle.
I did. I have since I was a
The
little kid.
idea is to
Always.
say it in a way that
Always
doesn't
will.
make
I always
people
will.
giggle.
Yeah.
I never giggle when Kimberly Hunt says it.
She says, when is she running
Does
around
she
the
say that
office
a
saying
lot?
genitalia?
Not around the office, but occasionally it's required in a script that, in a news story that has.
She says, how many
I'm sure it's happened.
genitalia?
Yeah.
I'll never not laugh. Never. When I'm 70, I'll still be snickering at that. That's
you
why
have to just kind of enunciate in a very professional manner.
That's why you think you're better than
Matter
us.
of fact, almost.
Right.
Like,
That's why you think you're
this
better
is not
than
a
us.
funny word.
That's why you think
I
you're
try.
better than us.
I really do try. Much as I can.
You do a great job, Ben. You do a great job.
Not to let it,
Ben, you do a great
not
job.
let it be a comedy. This is not a comedy. This is
This is
serious.
serious
news.
How serious is the news if they're talking about genitalia?
It's no, I mean,
Could be cancer.
yeah,
something like that.
exactly. Yeah, it could be a medical story.
A medical
we have
situation.
those all the time.
It's true.
You have to say those kind of things.
All right. Glad I don't. Aren't you glad I don't?
I am.
Yeah.
Because people don't take you as seriously when you say those words.
It's true.
You can't say them without a snicker,
sniggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dingleberry, she said. Yeah, that didn't sound like a serious news segment. Much like this segment is not very serious. Let's get back to some serious sports.
Let's open the phones and talk about the Padres. Culture was a big topic earlier that we were discussing.
Yeah.
And we kind of got interrupted by Take on Woods and Don't Do This, but want to bring back that get the opinions of some of the tier ones about the impact of culture on a baseball team. Can you even assess what the culture is of a baseball team? Does culture create winning, or does winning create culture? What's your thoughts?
Well-
833-288-0973.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess everybody, it's kind of our job. You read between the lines a little bit, and you hear Juan Soto's comments yesterday, and those comments that he made after the game, Ben, can be taken honestly about 7 different ways, right? You can take those comments about 7 different ways. You hear some of the terse post-game press conferences, some of the terse post-game messages from Manny, some of the terse post-game comments from Fernando, right? We're cursed. The baseball gods got us again, et cetera. So what's going on in that clubhouse right now? What is actually happening? You read Kevin Acey's article. You try to put it all together and say, does this team have a culture problem right now? That's it.
And is that impacting anything at all on the field? We'll talk about it next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Anyone here have a problem with Marcus Stroman's strut, his shuffle?
No.
After striking out Juan Soto.
How could you?
I don't. I'm just asking the question if anyone here has a problem about it.
Absolutely not. Thought it
Got
was
him
awesome.
got him looking. What was that? Like the 6th inning
Yeah.
or so?
Thought it was awesome.
Did a little shuffle to his left, 1-2. Big pitch. Always tough to get Juan Soto out. Got him right on the inside corner.
Great pitch. Great pitch.
One person who doesn't have a problem with it is Juan Soto. He said, quote from the UT, "It's baseball. That's what it's all about. We come here to put on a show for the fans. Why not? I wouldn't be mad at all. I mean, he did a great job, made a great pitch, and he did his thing." Stroman sending the respect back. Soto is incredible. Everyone sees how I've talked about Soto on social media before. I think he's going to go down as one of the best players to ever play this game. He's an incredibly tough at bat. Really doesn't swing at anything outside the zone, so it's always a game.
He literally has the best chase rate in baseball. No one is better at not chasing pitches than Juan Soto. I was looking at his StatCast this morning. It's staggering. I mean, it is like a thing of beauty to look at that man's StatCast page, Ben. His chase rate, 100th percentile. No one chases. His hard hit percentage, 99. Max exit velo, 94. Walk rate, 100. Barrel rate, 88. Expected weighted OBA, 97.
And this is after a slow start to the season.
Average exit velo, 93. Max exit velo, 94. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Strikes out for him, for a guy with all the other things in the red, he's at 48% K rate, right in the middle, about right in the middle. If he could get that over to the red, forget it.
I think what in listening to Juan Soto's comments, it makes you like Juan Soto. You talk to any of these guys in the Padres clubhouse, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado. We've had a good relationship with Manny. I've seen surly baseball players, who don't get along with their teammates. I've seen that in the past. And when we talk about the Padres culture, that's what makes this a difficult conversation, because I don't see anyone in the Padres clubhouse obviously being a problem. The guy who's not pulling on the same rope, the guy that doesn't care about winning, that's only in it for himself. I don't see those guys when I go in there. Now, maybe behind the scenes, there's some of that we're not seeing, but for the most part, would you agree, Woods? For the most part, Padres have good guys on their team who want to win. They care about it. They care about more than just their stats and making money, that they actually do want to win baseball games.
Yeah. I just from our very, very tip of the iceberg,
Sure.
The 3 visits a year we make into the clubhouse.
But also everything you read that they say. I mean, we're as up on Padres baseball as anyone.
Sure.
Don't diminish how much you follow this team.
No.
I think your opinion is very valid.
Yeah, I never when they brought in everybody that they brought in, I really have not had a problem with it. I guess the only thing, looking back at it now, it's kind of hard to get in a groove. And I did some reading over the weekend. I went back and I read some things and saw a bunch of stuff and got a lot of texts this weekend. A lot of texts about what's going on with this team. And I went back and I read the article that The Athletic wrote in 21 about, the front office. And, one thing I will say that does hold some validity, in my opinion, is turnover as far as players go. I mean, it's how comfortable can you ever really be here? And Paulie and I had this conversation before you got here. I wanted to get your take on it. I saw a lot this weekend of why did we extend Manny? Why did we extend Crony? Why did we give Darvish more? So I'm going to put myself in the owner's position, right? From Peter Seidler's chair. These are the guys I look at and say, these are cornerstone type players. Okay, guys, I want here. They're good character, they're good quality, and they can produce, right? We all agree?
Sure.
Those guys, I want them comfortable. And I want them to not have to worry about where their next paycheck is coming from. And I know that's dramatic, but you know what I'm saying. I want them to not have the specter of potentially being moved like so many guys on this team have in the last 10 years. If you're a Padres prospect, you cannot be comfortable. You just can't be. So I think they wrote that extension for Crony saying, bro, you had such a massive playoffs for us, biggest hit in Padres history, maybe other than Garv. Like you're a Padre. We want you here. So don't worry about being moved. You're here. I have no problem with that. Now, you look at the production, doesn't add up. And knowing Jake a little bit, there's only one way to tell you what Jake's going through. He's trying to prove it. He's trying to prove that he earns it. We know him. We know his work ethic is second to none. We know he cares as much, if not more than anybody. We know that. I know that for a fact. I would bet my life on it. The dude wants to win. He's a gamer. He's just dying right now at the plate. Looks completely lost. Uncronenworth-like. I understand wanting to have guys here that want to be here, that you believe in, and you want them to be comfortable. It has backfired a little bit. It's backfired a little bit. And it can still be fixed. There's still time to fix it. But as of right now, I understand that mentality of not wanting to wait and see constantly.
It's tough to not have turnover if you're not having success. Because the alternative is, well, let's stick with all these players who aren't getting the job done in the hopes that if we stick with them long enough, the continuity will benefit us. So you make a lot of changes. But last year, the Padres had success, especially in the postseason, and they went all in on a lot of those players.
And you know what else?
Manny,
they went in
Cronenworth.
They went in on continuity.
Musgrove, yes, they went in on continuity.
They're in the, at least for the first, since that happened, it's been 6-7 months or whatever since that happened. You said it at the beginning of the year. One thing I'd like to see from this team is more continuity. Well, they went out and they got continuity, and they've got guys that are going to be here for a long time. What it's always going to boil down to is, are they the right guys? In my opinion, they are, and they were when you did it, and they still are. They're just not performing. So I understand the mentality. We talk a lot when we talk about football, the cold-hearted business decisions that the Patriots have had to make. I often look at the Astros and say, how do you let Carlos Correa walk? Well, you know how? He was kind of banged up, kind of injured. You'd already won 2 World Series with him, and you have Jeremy Pena coming up. So that's how you let him go. But, I mean, the Padres, Correa's a Padre. If he's here and we win 2 World Series, that dude's here for life. We haven't even won a World Series, and we're extending guys for the next decade. So I understand the mentality of wanting your guys to be here and be comfortable. I understand that. That said, it's all backfired right now, all of it. But again, plenty of time to fix it. But right now, it doesn't look like it was the right approach. Easy to say in my chair, with 2020 hindsight vision.
Yeah, and that even if these guys stay together for the next decade, Manny and Tatis and Cronenworth and Bogarts, and they're all here. Not going to win 10 World Series in a row. There's going to be some ups and downs.
They may not win one.
Over that, there's going to be ups and downs. Maybe this is simply one of the down portions, and there'll be lots of ups still to come for those guys all together. Just hard when you haven't seen it yet. And we're told we have to be patient as fans because we need to give these guys some continuity and some time and give them their opportunity to succeed. I mean, we don't really have any other choices.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what happens when you decide to make everyone comfortable. You are left with fewer options, right? Because you have more guys locked up long term. And again, I don't think it's going to affect Peter Seidler's spending or his ability or willingness or want to spend more. I don't think he's going to look at it and go, well, I've already locked all these guys up. I can't go out. No, he's fully said, checkbooks open, guys. Go out and win.
Yes, but I don't think you're not just going to make Manny a bench player and sign someone else to play third.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
You're locked in to guys. There's only so many moves.
There's only so many spots
you can do in the future because there's only so many spots on the field. AJ's not going to be as active of a general manager.
You're locked in. You are locked in
because
at third, you're locked in at short. You're locked in at first/second with Crony. You're locked in right field,
maybe center with Tatis, but he's going to be out there as well.
You're locked in with Joe. You're locked in with you. Beyond that, you've got
there's
a few
still
years
some moves
of
to be made, but nothing like what we've seen from AJ in the past. He's going to have to be a different GM going forward. All right, we'll take a break. We have Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue, the Great Baseball Podcast, with his weekly visit. We'll talk about some of the other stories going on in Major League Baseball right now. That's coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Caltrans Stormwater Program. Visit cleanwaterca.com. Let's change this to that by picking up after our pets, reducing pesticide use, and regularly servicing our vehicles. Learn how at cleanwaterca.com. That's cleanwaterca.com from Caltrans Stormwater. Well, there's a bunch of other things going on in baseball, not just our San Diego Padres continuing to struggle. Looking forward to our weekly chat with Jordan from Cespedes Family Barbecue right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's get to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. It is a grand old barbecue Monday. They always bring us our conversations with Jordan and Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue, the great baseball podcast. We got Jordan Schusterman today with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Jordan, hope you had a good weekend. Welcome back to Ben and Woods.
Yes, good to see you guys. Happy to be here. I know every time, surely by then it'll have been turned around, but I am ready. Long season to go. Now, at what month do you say you can't say it's only blank, right? You can say it's only May.
Yeah.
Can we say it's only June?
I think
it
so.
probably depends on the fan base.
I don't think you can anymore.
I think we just turned the calendar on that one, to be honest with you. I think now that it's June, they won their first game in June 10-1, and I went on our Instagram stories and I said, look, you cannot deny the San Diego Padres are the hottest team in baseball. They scored 10 runs today. They are 1-0 in the month of June, and I thought it was a harbinger of things to come, and it's not. They played their worst game of the year the very next day, letting Jameson Taillon off the hook with his 8.04 ERA. I think he lowered that somewhere in the fours now or something, and just goes to show you, man.
Then they played their best game on the year on Saturday. 6-0 win with 2 homers from Tatis and just pounded the Cubs around the yard. Darvish, best start of the year. And then they played maybe their second worst game of the year yesterday. We have no idea anymore, Jordan. We have
super
no
fun,
idea.
Though. It's super fun.
Yeah, I don't really know either. I mean, I was just looking. I was like, when's the last time they won 3 in a row? And I looked, and it hasn't been since the end of April that they won 3 in a row, let alone 2. I know they had one of those a couple weeks back, but it's so maddening because when you see, obviously there was a stretch in April, or certainly earlier in May, where it was bad every day and it was like, I don't know what's going on. But now when you're getting these teases of flashes like that game from Tatis where you're like, here we go, it's time. And then to just fall right back into it is so frustrating. And, I've said this before on here this season, they're not the only team with high expectations this year struggling. And maybe we'll talk about my Mariners here in a little bit. But, hey, them and the Phillies still have the same record. Seems like that NLCS last year, that was went a little bit too far, and now they are both paying the price for it.
Yeah, it's identical records right now between those two teams, the San Diego Padres and the Philadelphia Phillies. We've got a better run differential. I think we play in pretty comparable divisions, if I'm being honest. No one really expected Miami to be off to the start that they're off to, but they're hanging in, man. And the Mets, they've lost 3 straight again after seemingly riding the ship. The team I continue to be really impressed by plays in the NL Central. And the Pirates, they started so hot, and then they kind of became the Pirates again. Well, now they've won 5 in a row again and have battled their way back into second place, only a half game out of the wild card. I'm never going to shift my focus entirely from the Padres. I just won't do it. That said, if there are teams like that to root for, I love rooting for the Miamis and the Pittsburghs and the teams that all of us had finishing in the cellars.
Totally. Yeah. And Pittsburgh's a great example. I mean, one of baseball's best teams in April, one of baseball's worst teams in May. It wasn't just like a correction. They were terrible. And yet, because that division is just nobody has any interest in winning it, they hung around, and to be able to stick around and stay ahead of the Cardinals and then bury them again with a sweep this weekend was so impressive. And I think what we've seen from Pittsburgh is, again, that they now have pitchers that can keep them in games. And some of those young hitters have really shown up in a big way. And that's a good farm system too. You know, I think Henry Davis, the #1 overall pick from a couple years back, he just got promoted to AAA. I think we'll see him at some point this summer. But to see them perform to this degree without O'Neal Cruz, and I know O'Neal Cruz is kind of a volatile player, and we didn't know exactly what we were going to get from him. But as far as guys I was looking forward to watching on the 2023 Pirates, he was obviously the top of the list. And to have him be out and them to just keep on rolling is really impressive. And Miami's a team I'm always rooting for. Like, they're so kind of fun and chaotic and ridiculous. I think they're now 16-4 in one-run games, which is really something. But also kind of how their team is built. You know, it is a lot of, you know, put the ball in play. Luis Arraez is such a treat. Just a total one-of-a-kind player that we have in the game today. And their pitching's good enough to win a lot of those close games. I don't know what their staying power is, but watching the Marlins stick around as teams like the Phillies and the Mets, who have spent so much money, kind of flounder is undeniably entertaining.
Talking to Jordan Schusterman from the Cespedes Family Barbecue podcast. Another team that's like that, a little harder for us to get behind, is the Arizona Diamondbacks. You know, there's history in there in the division, but they continue to play well, even though they lost 2 of 3 to the Braves. Came down to a grand slam by Rosario with 2 outs in the 9th yesterday. And I saw they gave Torey Lovullo another 1-year contract extension. They keep just 1 year, one at a time. I was thinking his agent should have maybe held out for a little bit more. You get a little leverage right now. They're playing really, really well. They're overachieving. See if he can parlay that into a 2 or 3 year deal, Torey.
Yeah, that's a good point. I manager contracts are always weird. Sometimes they're not even reported, right? Sometimes we don't even know how long manager contracts are, and then suddenly you find out they've been extended for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. I agree. I mean, if now would be the time, but it is also a reminder of, like, Torey Lovullo, again, it wasn't really ever his fault because of how bad things went over the last couple of years. Like, I never looked at their team. I was like, he's the problem. Like, there were clearly issues with that roster. That's another team that just a lot of those young guys have come up and really, really gelled together. And that trade that they made of Varsho for Moreno, who I think that was the headliner as you know, getting a franchise catcher there. But Gurriel's been unbelievable. I mean, he might be an all-star this year. I wouldn't expect him to. I think he's the kind of guy who could cash in this winter as one of the rare promising hitters, non-Ohtani hitters on the free agent class this winter. So maybe he's not a long-term solution, but that trade has just been a home run for them. And I love Dalton Varsho, but that's just been a huge game changer. And then Corbin Carroll is obviously one of the more impactful rookies that we have in the entire league. I'm still kind of skeptical of the pitching there. I will say that their anonymous bullpen has been shockingly competent. And I often say that is really the sign of a team kind of turning a corner, is when they start turning totally anonymous relievers into good relievers, and their bullpen entire ERA is, you know, under 3.5 of guys we've never heard of. That's usually a good sign that the team's moving in the right direction. So I'm impressed with Arizona too, as much as you guys obviously probably hate to see it.
Yeah, we do. We definitely hate to see it. Talking to Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue here on Ben and Woods this morning. So we're in June. You know, we've got essentially about 7 weeks until the trade deadline, which I think, you know, we've talked about it a little bit. The big power players in baseball have all said, well, you know, everyone tap the brakes. It may be a slow one, a boring one, you know, bullpen arms here and there, maybe a corner outfielder or something. There is a guy, though, that is a pretty big name in Shohei Ohtani. The Angels hanging right around, man, 31-30, 3-7 in their last 10. You do have to wonder when Perry Manassian's just going to say, all right, man, like it's time. And I don't know how you trade a guy like that. We do know the interested parties. I don't know that the Padres have enough to get it done. There is a team up north of us that probably does have enough to get it done, and seems to be a really natural fit, which kind of makes me sick to my stomach. But do you think that they move him at the deadline?
I don't. I've been pretty consistent on this. I think that they, in AOS, you know, I from the beginning have said, like, Rangers and Angels are both really volatile. I believe more in the Rangers. That's proven out to be true. The Angels, the issue there is, I don't think they're that bad, but I don't think they're to the point where I think they should trade him, even though it is a tough decision. Do you trade him for nothing? I don't know how far back they would need to be to let him walk for a 3rd round pick or whatever. Like,
compensatory
it seems
pick.
Ridiculous to let Ohtani go, and then it'll be funny to see if that does end up happening, who that draft pick is. Like, really, this is all we got.
That's
for him.
The question.
At the same time,
like, what's worse, trading Ohtani or letting him walk for nothing? I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what it is.
I think it's trade. I honestly think it's trading. What's like more embarrassing? What's more painful? I think it's probably trading. I mean, if they're 15 out, like it's going to be an easy decision.
Well, they're 8.5 out now. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they stay, and if they stay in this window here, even if it's for a wild card, I just think it's going to be more painful to trade him because, as far as I'm concerned, like any amount of time that you have with Ohtani is kind of worthwhile. I know we're concerned about where the hell they go from here. Honestly, when we say, trading him can totally kickstart a rebuild, I mean, is it really like, are the Angels now going to suddenly just be the worst team in baseball? Is Mike Trout going to just decide that, okay, I'm just now going to be on a terrible team? Like, no, like they're probably going to keep trying to win anyway, even if Ohtani leaves. And so I don't really know how much that trade is going to make a difference. I just doubt they're going to be able to stomach it. And I don't think they're going to be far enough back to trade him. At the same time, like you will still might have your worst nightmare come true. In terms of him going to the team up north, but I don't think it's going to happen until the winter.
So in addition to their Major League Baseball coverage, which is great, Jordan and Jake have also dove into college baseball on the Division III level. And everyone's always looking for the next money ball, the next advantage the teams haven't thought of. Can you tell me, Jordan, about the Misericordia Cougars and how they are changing the game of baseball right now on the D3 level? Have you seen this story, Woods?
No, I have not.
All right, you're going to be interested by this.
This is great. I'm excited to tell you about this for the first time. This is the kind of story that when we pitch our boxes, our bosses at Fox Sports, we say, like, trust us. Like, trust us on this. I know this sounds ridiculous, and I know this sounds like you guys are the biggest dorks in the world and nobody cares about this, but I promise you, people will care. And I'm glad that we have been validated by the ridiculous amount of social interaction we got on this story that my good friend Jake Mintz wrote on the Misericordia Cougars. So yeah, as you mentioned, we are very much involved in the world of D3 baseball, having gone to D3 schools. Jake played at a D3 school. And what happens at that level, technically, the lowest level of college baseball in some forms, I guess, no scholarships, 400 schools. Like, it's just a ridiculous landscape. You have teams that are known for very specific things. And the Misericordia Cougars, who are a very respected program in Dallas, Pennsylvania, they have been the team that just gets hit. And for the last 10 years, they have drawn more hit by pitches at a rate than any other team in the country, any college baseball team in any level. And this year, their season unfortunately just ended yesterday in the World Series, finished this year 40-15. But it is not a gimmick. These guys are just unafraid of the baseball, and they were hit over 160 times this year in just 55 games, nearly 3 times a game, unlike anything we've ever seen at the college level. They've broken their own record multiple times over the last decade, and now here they are. And it's been really funny to see kind of the response to the story, and it's cool to shine some light on a school that otherwise would not get a lot.
How do they make it happen? I mean, are they all just crowding the plate and diving in and never moving? I mean, did the umpires ever say, no, you have to stay? You didn't try to get out of the way of that one.
Yeah. So, when we first started digging into the story, and we've covered this sport and this level for a long time, we knew about them. We've seen them play in person. And when you watch, you don't necessarily realize, you don't see, like, there are some guys that are, of course, on the plate, but it is a buy-in as soon as you get to campus there, that, like, this is part of our game. We will not move. And because command is so bad, it's not a matter of jumping into the ball or trying to play. It's a matter of just not being afraid and not jumping out of the way. Wow. And there are just more pitches like that than you realize. And when you take advantage of shaky command, especially on the inner half of the plate from some pitchers at these levels, you can get on base a lot. And also when teams know going in facing them, they're like, it gets in their head as well.
You're domed.
It's really about the buy-in and the understanding. Of course, all coaches say, stay in the box, don't get out of the way.
We've got eyes.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's a different level of buy-in from these players and head coach Pete Egbert. And it's both hilarious and impressive, and just one of the funnier and cooler baseball stories we've been able to tell.
I don't want to play for Coach Pete Eckburn or whatever his name is.
Sounds pretty miserable. Misericordia. Do they just have practices where you stand in front of the pitching machine and just wear it over and over again as practice?
We've certainly heard stories. We use maybe using some tennis balls to really get used to the ball coming at you. We've heard every version of that. To your point, again, I know some people say, "Oh my God, that's crazy. That's masochistic. What is going on?" That's fair. That's a fair take. But also, like, these players are so, and talking to these former players, They loved it. They loved every second of it. And yeah, you got to be some kind of way. You got to be some kind of hardo, but it's hilarious and we love it and we respect it.
As someone with a strong flinch reflex,
he's
I can't even imagine.
Let's practice this in the hall. Paulie, can you rustle up a few tennis balls here?
See what I can find.
All right, thank you. That
How
is
about one
such
of those, like those really
foam,
squishy foam balls,
We'll
maybe,
find
or something.
Yeah,
I'll
find
still, I'll
something.
still jump
Oh,
out
I
of the
can't
way.
wait for this bit. This is happening.
Mm.
This is happening in the next 15 minutes, Jordan. You rule. Thank you. Tell Jake that we will see him soon. Is he back next week?
Jake should be back next week.
Beautiful.
Yes, he's on vacation in France.
Oh, very
normal
fancy.
stuff.
Yeah, just normal.
So he's off, but I think he will be back next week, so you won't have to hear from me anymore. I know this has been a couple little stretch here.
No, we loved it.
But,
We loved every
but
second of it.
Hey guys, I mean, at some point, we're gonna
turn
stretch.
it around.
Can we win 3 in a row? Can we win 4 in a row? Can we make it happen?
Is he watching French baseball over there by he's like, oh, I found this killer French baseball team.
He's trying.
Is he?
I can promise you that. If anyone's gonna find the baseball field in Paris, it's gonna be him.
They instead of
awesome.
bats, they use baguettes.
All right, just let it's fine. We're
Thanks,
sorry,
Jordan.
Duvall. We're so sorry. Thank you. We want to keep him on,
All right.
Ben. For the
Thanks,
rest.
Jordan.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you guys. Always a pleasure.
Jordan
Appreciate it, pal.
Schusterman on a grand old barbecue Monday with us on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Kluger, you're listening. I know you're listening. You rustle up a couple of those balls that you gave my kids and bring them to the Air Studio ASAFP. Please, sir.
Maybe he's listening on the smart speaker, grilling, chilling, home run hitting. You can listen to the Padres game on your smart speaker. Just tell the device to play 97.3 The Fan. It is just that easy. You can do it tonight.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
As the Padres and Cubs wrap up their 4-game series at Petco Park. Blake Snell is coming off his best start of the year.
Yes.
Kyle Hendricks, though, is the exact kind of pitcher who gives the Padres problems. And has given the
They
Padres problems
they
in the
all
past.
give the Padres offense problems. All of them. It doesn't matter. There is no type. Slow, fast, good, bad, horrible, terrible. All of them. There's no type for this team. There's no identity for this team. So it's not like you can even look at this and say, oh, they're going to light Hendricks up or they're going to look like morons. It's a roll of the dice with this offense every day. That's all it is. It's a craps game. That's it. Right?
Don't crap out.
Don't crap out.
All right, we'll come back. We got a round of report, get some headlines from Paulie. Continuing here on a Monday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. What do you have there, Woodsy?
So I had to run around. I'm out of breath. I got 3 balls here, and we're going to test your flinch theory and see if you'd be a good fit at Misericordia University.
Here in Dallas, Pennsylvania.
In Dallas, Pennsylvania. Yes.
Didn't even know there was a Dallas, Pennsylvania.
Man, that is so yeah, we'll see if you can stand in against my
Such an interesting theory.
It really is.
You know, adding to your OBP by simply not getting out of the way of pitches that come inside. It almost feels like cheating.
It's not.
I mean, technically, you're supposed to try to get out of the way, right?
But it's a turn. There's a way to do it.
Well, I mean, certainly there is ways that people have gotten away with it, but by the letter of the rule, you have to make an effort to get out of the way of the pitch, and they're clearly not making that effort if they're getting hit at that level, like 3 times the level of most other teams.
Not necessarily, though, because again, he said, you know, this is their reputation. This, when other pitchers come in, bro, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of hard stuff to do in sports. When a guy is standing on top of the plate, it's the hardest effing thing to do in the world is to throw one down the middle. It's almost impossible. It just is. He's standing there looking at you, and his foot is on the black. Happened to me yesterday, and I'm like, and I hit a guy right in the ribs.
You want to throw inside when they're that close. It's like, yeah, I'm going to jam this guy.
You off.
I'm going to put him right on the inside corner. There's no way he's going to hit it. He's too close, and but it's a strike if he lets it go.
Yep.
And then you end up hitting him.
Yep.
You miss by an inch. It's inside. He doesn't get out of the way.
Yep.
And it hits him.
And it's, you know, you throw let's at this level, let's say an 87, 88 mile an hour fastball, inner half, and the guy doesn't have. You don't have to dive and flail to get out of the way. No, you just have to. What you can't do is you can't lower your elbow. You can't move into the pitch. You can still get hit plenty by not doing either of those.
Now,
things.
I don't know that this is something a major league team can do. I know there are guys.
There are guys that are
have
good
played
at it.
that have been good at it. That
Don
draw
Baylor.
A lot of hit by pitches. But the way guys throw now, with so many 100-mile-an-hour throwers, you get a lot of situations like Manny, where it hits you on the hand, and then what? You're out for 2 weeks plus. He may not have that full strength and feeling back in his hand for a month or two after taking one. I mean, wouldn't you have rather Manny had gotten out of the way of that one than taken that hit by pitch and got on base for his team? Of course, it would have been better had Manny gotten out of the way of that pitch. So I don't know that works at the major league level.
That's not something. That's not a strategy you want to employ at the big league level.
It's not like even D3 guys. Some of them throw pretty hard nowadays too. Though
I would imagine.
Sure, it doesn't feel good.
No,
if you play for Misericordia. Quickly before we get to our Roundel report, just like to shout out all the local teams and the weekends they have. We have the hottest team in lacrosse, we have the hottest team in rugby right now going. The San Diego Legion won their 12th in a row over the weekend. Another victory. They continue to just roll 36-14 over the Chicago Hounds. Actually, it's 11th in a row. They'll go for 12 next week against the Toronto Arrows. Great win for the Wave yesterday, 1-0 over Gotham FC on a Mackenzie Doniak goal in the start of the second half. And did you see what the Loyal did on Saturday? They were down 3-0, came from behind to tie 3-3 in the 5th minute of stoppage time.
Damn.
Right at the end to steal a point on the road against the defending USL champs. They'll be back at home this Friday against first place Sacramento with a big game coming up at USD. So wanted to shout out our local teams quickly from their weekend exploits.
The NLL playoffs wrapped up, and as you know, it was not the our beloved San Diego Seals. We got bounced in the first round, first game, but it was the NLL's Buffalo Bandits who have really created something special in
You're
Buffalo.
Probably more glad that Buffalo won.
Yes, than Colorado.
100%. You guys don't like Colorado.
And Bucky Buchanan, who used to be a SEAL, won a ship for the Bandits. I was very pleased. DM'd with him over the weekend. Looked amazing. 18,000 people filled that place, and they dominated Colorado. And so that season's over, and now it's try to build a team and get back and get to a championship for this beloved franchise of mine before I completely ravage my voice and my throat for naught. I really, really want to win one.
I feel like the Seals have a good culture.
They do. Yeah, they do have a good culture.
Didn't stop them from a quick exit in the playoffs, though, this season.
It didn't. You just got to get hot at the right time.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, let's get
playoffs.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. Gentlemen, we'll start off with a little shout out to his family. Local news here this morning. Roger Craig passed away late last night here in San Diego, 4-time World Series champion, first pitching coach in San Diego Padres franchise history. He was a manager for the Padres. And he managed the San Francisco Giants from 1985 to 1992.
A lot of guys like to leave here, go to San Francisco, and win multiple rings, right?
Yeah, I don't think he won
Did he not
multiple
win any?
multiple rings.
How many
with San
did he win?
Francisco.
He won 1.
That's 1 more.
Not with San Francisco.
Roger Craig, as the manager, didn't win one?
Oh,
With
you're
the
right.
Giants?
That was right
No.
before.
I thought he did.
He did not.
That was as a
They didn't
coach
win
for
any.
the
They
Tigers.
didn't win
Didn't
any in
win
San
any
Francisco
under-
until Boch came along.
Is that
in the
right?
2010s, yeah.
He was on the Tigers staff in 84.
Did they lose? Did they lose the base? They did.
No, that was the A's.
It was Oakland. Yeah,
Oh,
Oakland.
was
Yeah,
the
they lost
A's
that
against
one.
the Giants, but they lost
Oh, I
that series
thought
to
they
the
won
A's.
that
Yeah,
So he did not.
but
win.
he was the manager to me. He was the manager of the Padres when I was too young to remember. In fact, first winning season in Padres history, I think 1978
was under him.
Was under Roger Craig. But he was always, I mean, in the formative years when I was like 10 to 17, he was the manager of the Giants every single
Yeah,
year.
so
Padres
you
would
didn't like him.
see him and get a bunch of matchups against Roger Craig's Giants
And
every single year.
He helped develop that split finger fastball. That's what he was noted for. The splitter. Nasty.
Yep. And then
nasty.
he so that his moniker that we called him Hum Baby. Hum Baby.
Hum Baby.
Hum Baby. You hear that a lot sometimes in baseball.
Do you?
Yeah, have you heard that before?
I mean, do you hear it a lot?
I don't know. Coach Quintera says it a lot. So.
Coach Quintera says hum baby a lot. I'd like you ASAP to find that clip.
Craig
If you
brought
hear it.
new
Hum
popularity to the old baseball term hum baby.
Hum
Traditional
baby.
bench and infield chatter that urges pitchers to put extra mustard on their fastballs.
Hum baby.
Yeah, it's coaching right there.
I tell my wife that when she's whistling
Tonight,
I
with
say
Blake,
hum.
I want to
baby.
hear Blake Snell on the mound tonight. I want
Hum,
to hear
baby.
fans throughout Petco Park going, hum baby,
We don't have to.
hum baby. And that will drive Blake Snell to pitch better and faster.
Yes, put more mustard on it. Hum baby.
Hum baby, hum baby. I feel like if this show is dragging,
I'm gonna need
Hum
you to
baby.
just scream that
I'm
all
going
night
to let you
tonight.
know, and I'm just going to say, all right, come on, hum baby, hum baby.
We will be together tonight in the suite. So
Come
I
on,
expect
Ben,
it
give him a
out of
hum
you.
baby.
Yeah, give him a hum baby.
Give them all a hum baby out there. Hum baby.
Shout out to his family.
And shout out to his family.
Shout out.
Hum baby to his family tonight.
Oh my
to
God,
Roger
Jesus.
Craig. What?
All right, last week I told you about
The show should really be 3 hours. It should really. We're up for negotiation. We had thought about omitting that ask again, and now
I think
I'm
we need to put it
really
back in there.
feeling that may be the breaking point for Ben and Woods. 3-hour show.
Last week we talked about the upcoming Barry Bonds documentary
Yes.
on HBO, or I guess sorry, Max.
Hum baby.
It's just Max. Got a new documentary that's being reported now, College Football. It's going to come out on August 23rd. It's titled Swamp Kings, and it is going to be a documentary series on the 2006 to 2009 Florida Gators.
Oh, man.
Urban Meyer, couple of championships, Heisman winners, Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, Riley Cooper. Who else was on that team? Cam Newton, I think, was a red shirt for them.
I thought he was at Auburn.
And then he went to
Yeah,
Auburn.
he went to
Yeah,
Auburn.
he transferred. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, this was revealed after a former Florida player put on his Instagram story an email from Netflix or the producers or somebody that basically just said, "Hey, thanks for your patience. We've been trying to get a release date, and it will launch on August 23rd. I think that could be there's about 100 different storylines that they could dive into with that team, that era of college football.
Something about college football in Florida. What was the Miami Hurricanes? They were always known as.
Notre Dame called them the convicts.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely
Catholics versus the convicts.
Yeah, that was always
the greatest T-shirt ever. I owned it.
And then there's the Florida teams.
Yeah,
Florida
they're
State.
Florida State. It's just, slimy, dude. Slimy.
Yeah. At the time, we're like, wow, this is one of the best college football teams we've ever seen. And then you see how so many of their careers played out. Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez. Like,
what's Aaron Hernandez up to? Nothing.
He's not up to anything. Not doing a damn thing.
It was one of the better documentaries I've ever seen. The Inside the Mind of Aaron Hernandez was bananas.
Crazy.
An actual mind blower. Like you saw that and went, okay, this is a different world.
Finally, here a little sportsy for a Monday, but saw this in the
Your
prep
sports
service.
show.
Yeah, it's kind of sportsy. Sweden has become the first country to register sexual activity as a sport. And later this week, they will host the first ever European Sex Championship.
How does one enter for that?
The ESC,
European Sex Championship.
It's apparently a lot more structured than one might think.
They just yell out positions at you. Missionary.
It's being organized by the Swedish Sex Federation.
Okay. They're
the old SSF.
They're very lax about it over there. We're not.
They're
We're
not.
all
They're just
bunched
less
up.
prudish.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're all bunched up here.
Anybody in any European country can join. This year's competitors have already been selected. 20 representatives from different countries around Europe will participate. The championship will last a few weeks with daily competitions.
Few weeks. Championship will last a few weeks. That's impressive.
They're taking after the NBA's model. Daily competitions lasting for 6 hours.
Like what?
Well, it says according to the organizers of the championship.
Organizers.
The focus of sex as a sport is going to be maximizing pleasure. The more pleasure your partner gets, the more points you get as a team.
All right.
You'll be judged on
giver.
creativity,
okay,
emotions,
all right, I'm in on that.
imagination,
imagination. I'm in
physical
on that.
fitness,
Okay,
There are a panel of
endurance,
judges. I mean,
and
they give
workability.
like scores, like figure skating in the end, or
Yeah, I don't know much about it. It says here that the final scores will be determined from a panel of judges as well as audience votes.
Well, I'd like to try to compete.
feels like it'd be difficult though to really get in the mind of the contestants, because if you're a team, you're gonna. I mean, there could be acting involved as opposed
That's
to
true.
genuine pleasure. How would you know the difference? Are they hooked up? Is there like biometric sensors?
Maybe.
They have like TrackMan.
I want to
just like
watch though. I'm interested.
monitor every movement.
Are they televising this anywhere? Can I stream it?
Probably on a few different websites that I shouldn't
Know about.
name drop here.
What's it called? European Sex Championship?
It is called the first ever European Sex Championship organized by the Swedish Sex Federation.
I make a petition to have Coach John Quintera call the action at the ESC next year. Whatever it takes, talent fee wise.
Babe.
All I want to do is zoom, 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 and boom,
Yes,
boom,
Coach,
boom.
I understand, but you're actually a judge. You can't get in the mix here. Would love. I would love to see it.
They called the Strike Force game last night. It's pretty much the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can call one, you can call the other.
100%.
I'm gonna need so many updates on this, Paul. So please write it down. I want to know who wins. I want to know how they won. I want to know what they did.
What separated them as
What's
winners?
separate? I'm gonna ask my wife tonight about training for maybe next year's, because that's the thing.
Gotta get started early.
Any great athlete needs to put in the work and train. I don't know that she's gonna
Practice makes perfect.
I don't know that she's gonna be on board if I tell her I'm going for the gold at the ESC. And what if I tell her, fine, if you're not in, I still want to do it. This is a dream of mine. Would she sign off on that? Probably not. That would be weird. I like that story a lot. We could have riffed on that for an hour. That was really, really good. I need more like that.
No love
Happy
for
to help.
the Stanley Cup Finals in the Rindle Report today.
Nah.
Vegas with a 1-0 series lead. Game 2 tonight in Las Vegas.
Fantastic.
Of the Stanley Cup Finals.
There's your update.
We got to
sports
wait
update.
until Wednesday until Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Another 2 days between games. We're stretching this out.
They like to do
Kind
that.
of like the European Sex Championships. We stretch it out as
2
long
weeks
as possible.
that thing goes?
6 weeks. They said,
6
didn't it?
weeks?
6
You
week
say 6 or
competition.
2?
Where did it go? It's going to last several weeks.
Several weeks.
Could we do a Ben and Woods ESC?
Probably not.
Probably going to take some serious insurance sign-offs and sponsors and things like that. So something to think about. Maybe next year's Ben and Woods Open. Maybe that could be it instead of golf.
Yeah, there's no reason why it has to be a
It
golf
says Ben and
tournament.
Woods Open. It doesn't say anything about golf. It doesn't say
doesn't.
Ben and Woods Golf Tournament. It's the Ben and Woods Open.
Just change each year. We made you pickleball one year.
People show up, there's just tables and cameras.
Made you sex championship one year.
All right,
Grandstands.
take your clothes off. You're here. Yeah, that's the fun of it. You sign up not knowing what sport it's for. We just tell you, bring a swimsuit, bottle of cocoa butter, and we'll see what happens. Right? So in on that. In the 90s radio, we could have been able to do that.
Polo, and we all
polo, and we get on horses. You never know what you're going to get. Darts one year, bowling. So on board with this. Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
All right, we've got 2 segments left. I did want to get some phone calls. We ended up not having time earlier. So if you tried to get in then, how about now? 833-288-0973. Talking about the Padres culture, quote unquote. It's been a topic, at least this morning, and we're grasping for the same straw as you are to explain this baseball team of ours here in San Diego. Give us a call, 833-288-0973. We're back with more Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Got me once. I flinched definitely on the first one.
Yeah.
Second one got me in the back. Would have hurt a lot if that was a real baseball.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was just one of those.
Why is there two of me?
Stuffed baseballs. There's two woods. That's because
double woods. Oh, there's your camera.
Ben's camera followed him out of the studio. Double woods.
That
Just turn all three cameras on.
That was way too much.
Here, Ben, turn your camera back.
Oh, no.
All right, let's.
I hate this. Hi, welcome to the Woods Show. It's great to be here. This is fantastic. Just what I always dreamed of. Yeah, we did the what was the name? Misericordia University.
Yeah,
they get hit at a rate of what, like
over like 3 times per game.
3 times. Well, isn't it like 3 times more than any other team?
I mean, most teams only get hit about once a game, and they get hit like 3 times per game.
It's crazy. And
triple the average.
So I took these little MLB. They're like little tiny
little foam balls,
stress balls, and I
could really do no damage whatsoever.
No, and just fired as hard as I could at Ben.
I still feel that on the back.
I got you pretty good in the back.
Yeah, I still feel that one.
I threw 7 innings yesterday. My arm is absolute garbage right now, just hanging by a thread. But I loaded up and hit you pretty good. It stung a little, didn't it?
Yeah, no, I felt it.
I hit a guy.
See if we can hear the sound.
Paulie will post that video on our social soon. So I called yesterday. We had a game, and we were short. And Paulie lives 10 minutes from the field, so I go, dude, you got to get up here. We're going to be short. And I don't. You load up all your gear. You clear it with the wife. You're like, you just want to go out and play baseball with your buddies, and then you're like, are we short? Oh my god, we're going to be short. And I'm like, Paulie, you don't have to be 45. Just come out and just be a body. He's like, done. He's there in 15 minutes. But as he's walking, I was pitching pretty well. As Paulie walks up,
it's like the top of the first. I think when I got there,
yeah, I got a 1 pitch out. Then I had a catcher's interference, so there's a runner on first. Then, as Paulie's walking up, the first thing he sees is I drill a guy right in the ribs. He goes, "Ugh."
Come on,
and I'm like, oh man,
these guys didn't sign up for that.
So I was like, Paulie walks in, he goes, "Oh, nothing's changed, huh?" From fantasy camp. It was phenomenal. But hey, we gutted that one out. It was a lot of fun. I loved hanging out. I was telling Paul, I go, man, we were sitting there, we were having such a good time in the dugout, and the sun was shining. It was a beautiful day. I looked at Paulie. I go, you know what we got to do? We got to do a tier 1 team. We just have to. I got to figure out what age division, what age bracket, what league, and all that. But I said it'd be so cool to have a tier 1 baseball team, not softball, real baseball. And he's like, yeah, I'd be down. So
got the tier 1 basketball team.
You got the tier 1 basketball. Well, dude, yeah, we just create our own sports league. So
still waiting for Coach Higgins to show up.
I'll start thinking. I'll start thinking
one of these Thursdays.
I'll start thinking about it and trying to piece it together, what that would look like, what age bracket we would play in, and all that. But yeah, I think that's something we could definitely do.
Do they just jump from 25s to 45s?
It goes 18s, 25s, 35s, 45s, 55s.
So I'll be 33 in September.
We may
would they let me slide.
We may be able to get you a little exemption or something. Your birthday's got to be a certain time, and
all right.
But I think that'd be awesome, man. It'd be so fun to play on Sundays with a group of people. But yeah, it'd be awesome. Somebody says, "Can I manage?" No. I'll be managing. So suck it.
833-288-0973. Want to join us trying to figure out what's wrong with these Padres? It'd be so easy if there was just, there's a clubhouse cancer. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
We're going to have to just do something about it. It's not that simple. It really
What if
isn't.
there's like 9? You know what I mean? What if it's just, you just never know, because
I think it's harder when there's none. When there really isn't someone that you can say is clearly the problem. And I think that's been the most difficult part for Bob Melvin this season is if one guy was just ice cold all the time, you just bench him and you move on. And it might be tough, but you do it.
I mean, they've done that with Austin Nola, essentially.
They have.
Essentially.
And Gary Sanchez has come in and given the team a little bit of a spark. That's one thing. But there's other guy like Manny is scuffling at the plate badly.
Well,
you can't necessarily just sit him down forever and move on.
The black hole conversation is a different conversation entirely. But when you're looking at the lineup as it stands, and we haven't seen today's lineup, and man, you're looking at several black holes again on this roster and this team. And we've got guys in the chat screaming for Jose Iglesias to come up. That's in June, early June. You know your team is in dire straits. If it's like, dude, what are we doing? Jose Iglesias is rotting in the minor leagues. Jose Iglesias is, I mean, Rugi has provided a spark. Absolutely he has. I'll eat the shoe of apologies. Certainly I was unfamiliar with your game, Rugi. I absolutely was. I will wear that one fully. Brandon Dixon has turned in some really, really nice ABs.
Rugi Odor and Gary Sanchez are saviors.
Yeah, and Saturday night's a perfect example of situational baseball. Brandon Dixon comes up, doesn't try to do too much, drives in a run on a sac fly. It's not sexy, but when you're dying, when your team is dying for any sort of situational awareness and execution, he delivers. Of course, that game's won by 2 massive home runs from Fernando Tatis Jr., but it's nice to see guys doing things the right way and getting some runs in, manufacturing some runs, as it were. So, Benny, I don't look at this team and go, these guys are just selfish. I know they want to win. I know they do. All of them do. They're just the black holes, though. Manny is a black hole. Cronenworth is a black hole. Xander Bogaerts with a busted wrist is kind of a black hole. And you go up and down the lineup and you're like, okay, so we fixed a little bit of the stuff at the bottom, and now some of the guys at the top got to get it going.
But they're at positions that you didn't really plan for a contingency.
No,
plan.
absolutely not.
You need options when you've got a struggling catcher and you don't know who's going to be your left field or whatever. You have, but you don't put options behind really Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts and Jake Cronenworth.
Right.
You figure you're penciling them in for hopefully 157 games each.
Well, and you saw
and let them run.
And because what you didn't see early in the season with Juan Soto scuffling, you didn't see them go, all right, Sugar, get out there and take some left, or Adam Engel, you're starting in left today. Juan's going to get a few days off. No, Manny, Cronenworth, those guys. Xander is unhealthy. So if Xander's not healthy, he doesn't need to be there. Ha-Seong Kim can play short and play it as good, if not better, than Xander Bogaerts, and give you more offense at this point as it stands. Right? He's actually a better option than
Which
Xander
works
Bogaerts.
if you have Odor back.
Right.
Healthy tonight.
Right.
You put
Or
him
maybe
at
Jose
second and
Iglesias at second.
Jake at first. Let's get a quick phone call, and I know we're at the bottom of the hour, but I want to give Mark, he's been waiting to join us here on 97.3 The Fan. Mark, welcome to the show.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, buddy. How you doing?
Doing okay. Before I mention the culture, I just want to warn Woods, the whole European Sex Championship, kind of like swingers conventions in Black Beach.
Is that right?
It's not really the people that you want to see walking around naked.
You don't say.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
Remember,
when you go to the
fitness was
ESC.
one of the categories, though.
Yeah, be careful when you go to the ESC. You may be disappointed. Wear a mask.
It's not the masks that people need. It's not masks. more like ponchos and stuff like that.
There's a reason most of us wear clothes.
That's
for
exactly
sure.
right. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
What else is on your mind,
Hey,
Mark?
as far as culture, take a second and think. If you had Seidler's money, what kind of team could you two build?
Oh man.
And it almost feels like an art gallery where on one side you got Munchs and Monets and O'Keeffe's, and on the other side of the art gallery you got something that looks like my refrigerator door, a bunch of dinosaurs drawn by 4 and 5 year olds.
Kids paintings. I've got
So-
our house looks like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a whole wall dedicated, an entire gallery. And it's like they went into the season knowing that they had these gaping holes. I mean, my God, Trent Grisham, he's historically bad. But what do we have? Recency bias in the playoffs? I don't know. Nola is, our DH is regularly slotted as in the number 7 or 8 position. We've got the worst DH in the entire league. It's like he just threw so much money at these stars, but forgot about, having a whole team or an entire team where when 1 or 2 of your stars go down, everybody's still solid. And I think, but just imagine, what moves would you have made? What could you do if you had Seidler's money over the last 4 years?
Honest to God, man, and I'm going to wear this one because if I had Seidler's money, dude, I would have been like, I'm gonna go get Rodon. I would have absolutely gone out and gotten Carlos Rodon. There was nothing about that guy's makeup that I did not like at all. He is a full-on bulldog on the mound. He's a number one. He has not thrown one single solitary pitch for the New York Yankees. I would have gone and gotten him in a heartbeat. I'm trying to think who else. There's moves out there that probably would have been good ones, but just like everything, Mark, there's going to be stinkers in there. And I think the ultimate name of the game in baseball and running a team, limit the amount of stinkers that you have. The more stinkers you have, the worse it's going to be.
If we're admitting the mistakes that we wouldn't have made, I probably would have gone much harder after Wilson Contreras.
Yeah.
Knowing the Padres needed help at catcher and he was the best name available, probably traded for him, extended him.
Yes.
And you see what that's gotten the St. Louis Cardinals. They actually have the worst record.
They're terrible
in the National League right now. And he's been a big part of that problem for that team.
It's such an interesting question, though. Like, it's such an interesting, and Mark's even allowing us, by the way, to use hindsight. Mark's saying, no, use hindsight. What would you two build? I'd like to keep talking about this because I promise you, man, I would have swung and missed with this team way more than these guys.
I'll admit, I also have a blind spot on Trent Grisham. I keep thinking he's got to turn it around a little bit.
I can kind of get behind that, Ben. I kind of know where you're coming from.
Let's talk about that when we come back. UT just Bryce Miller put out a piece basically calling for the ousting of Trent Grisham. He doesn't want to see it anymore out in center field or at the plate specifically. We'll discuss that. Final segment of Ben and Woods up next here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Some wild numbers here on Trent Grisham. Wild.
Spenna Woods, final segment on a Monday. Glad to have you with us, especially everyone who spends pretty much the entire 4 hours with us
in the chat.
Really appreciate that.
You guys are loons.
In the
I
chat
love it.
or just listening. I don't care. If you're with us all 4 hours, that is impressive, and we salute you and we thank you.
We're barely here for 4 hours.
Yeah, no, it's a struggle sometimes. This hour on the Fan brought to you by Cars.com. Whether you're looking for the perfect summer road trip car, something you can just zip around in, visit Cars.com today. They have over 2 million cars for your 2 million summer possibilities. Head to Cars.com. Check out the possibilities. Cars.com. Where to next? Yeah, Bryce Miller laid it out plain and simple. He says Padres need to move away from Trent Grisham in center field in a column this morning in the Union Tribune. I think I disagree with that, and I admit I may have a blind spot for Trent Grisham.
Is it playoff induced?
No. I understand small sample sizes, and I am perfectly willing to say that guy had a hot 2 weeks. That doesn't mean he's a better player. But the eye test, and I'm usually not an eye test guy. I love how Trent Grisham looks as a baseball player. I like how he carries himself on the field.
Yep.
I like how he conducts himself in the batter's box, how he commands his at-bats, and obviously in the field, he has turned into not just a Gold Glove center fielder, but one of the smoothest, most confident players you will ever see in the outfield, just roaming out there. You feel 100% certain.
Yeah, he's pitcher's dream, dude.
That ball is going to get caught.
Pitcher's absolute dream.
When it flies out there and it's anywhere within the vicinity of Trent Grisham. And there's value to that. There is big time value.
Yeah, and there's
having a great defensive center fielder out there.
There's major value if your 20 million plus guys are all performing. Massive, incredible, major value to having a guy like Trent Grisham in the 9 hole, right? Just basically a glove only guy, essentially, with a little bit of pop. But you know, I'm looking at his numbers, his splits, hits lefties a little bit better. Not a little bit better, a lot better. But again, smaller sample size, way fewer ABs. Batting 304 off of lefties, batting 156 off of righties. Got a little more pop from the right side. Walks a ton as well. His walk rate is one of the best in baseball. It's at 93rd percentile. When he hits the ball, you guys, he damages the ball. Average exit velo, 85th percentile. Max exit velo, 82nd percentile. Barrel rate, 91th percentile. When he hits it hard. Problem is he just doesn't hit it enough. K's too much. K is, way down in the blue. You want to be in the red or even in the pink. Walks a ton. So he K's a lot, strikes out a lot. Not really your full 3 outcome player because he doesn't hit enough home runs to be a 3 true outcome, hit, walk, or strikeout. He's not a Joey Gallo type, but there is something in there.
So would you rather have a guy that doesn't hit but gets you Gold Gloves, or a guy that does hit but doesn't win you any Gold Gloves?
That's always the issue. On this team as it stands today,
there's only a handful of guys out there that can do both.
And, as it stands today with this team, you need offense. And the defense is spectacular. It's great. I love it. But you need offensive production from him. And you're not getting it. And everyone looks, they can kind of parse out what it should look like. And his expected batting average ain't much better than his 193 average that he's carrying right now. His OBP is 318, slugging 354, OPS of 672. Those last three, Ben, are close-ish. They're close-ish. They're not trending upwards, but it's close-ish. This is.
See, I feel like
we've had this conversation. We had this conversation last year, all the way up through the playoffs, and I was telling you, hey man, when it gets down to the playoffs, you want that glove out there. You got to make sure you have that glove. And he played really well in the first series, and hit some big home runs and all that. But Paulie, I just don't know. I think at this point, if you could find a corner outfielder, move Tatis to center field, Trent Grisham off the bench, absolutely fantastic option. Late inning defensive replacement. Put him in for Soto and left. Put him in for whoever you're getting right, and we ride. That I would be down for. But I would ask Bryce Miller today, who's better than Trent Grisham today that we can put out there? Sugar?
His only suggestion was, bump Tatis over and put Dixon out in right field. He's taking some fly balls. That's about it. I just don't think that's a big enough upgrade.
I don't
to
either.
sacrifice the defense of Trent Grisham at this point. And I also think that the timing is a little weird here. I don't disagree with Bryce. The Padres have maybe stuck with guys too long. Austin Nola just at bat after at bat because they didn't have options, obviously. And maybe you need to act a little bit faster. Last 6 games, Grisham's got on 10 of 24 times.
Yeah, that's really good.
Had 2 hits on Saturday, drove the ball well, lined out. He was 0 for 4 yesterday, had a line out in his first at bat. Got that short swing that looks like he's kind of locking in. Braden Soprenet was filling in for Sammy on the postgame show yesterday, and I heard him. He was saying, look at Trent Grisham as a guy to break out. He went into some of the deeper numbers, the WXOBA, some of the projected park neutral stats, and how he's hitting the ball. And he says signs are pointing upwards for Trent Grisham right now. So, obviously Bob Melvin saw it as well, put him leadoff in the game yesterday. He had seen good things as well. So the timing of it doesn't feel like the right time to me to bench Trent Grisham. I think give him that opportunity to break out a little bit as he started to drive the ball a little bit more lately. You don't want to miss out on one of those admittedly rare hot streaks by Trent Grisham because you put him on the bench right now as he was just showing some signs of breaking out.
Well, and now then you move Tatis over to center field, which I have no question he could do it. But then you put Brandon. It's not like when the Braves called up Michael Harris, and Michael Harris, by the way, not having a great sophomore season for the Braves. When they put him out there, it was like, oh, well, yeah, of course we could let whoever go because we have Michael Harris in the wings. There's no Michael Harris. Brandon Dixon isn't Michael Harris. Brandon Dixon isn't the corner outfielder of the future or even really the present for the San Diego Padres. He's a guy off the bench to spell guys, and he's put together some nice ABs, certainly, but not a guy that I'd feel comfortable benching Trent Grisham for. Really,
Rougned Odor played out there a couple of times.
Looked fine.
Not great. He's definitely more of a second baseman than an outfielder. You're playing someone essentially out of position.
Now you're moving a couple of guys out of position. Fernando's going to be technically out of position,
and I'm hesitant because Fernando has done so well in right field.
He's done phenomenal. He's finally settling in.
Is it even fair to him to then say, I know he has even speculated about perhaps a future in center field, but to me, that's an off-season move.
100%.
That's not a move you make in the middle of a season that he's finally getting comfortable at the
I think
plate.
if you're going to bring like Sugar back, I just put Sugar in center.
Is he down or is he hurt?
He's down. He was sent down to AAA.
If we're talking about making a move, you would be
mostly because
Grisham out of the outfield and putting Sugar in. I just put him in center.
You don't lose that much defensively with Azocar, but you don't gain that much offensively. He doesn't walk the way Trent Grisham does, and he has 0 power. Grisham at least has 5 home runs. Azocar doesn't have any and will probably never have any. I just don't know that that's an upgrade either if you put Azocar out there. Now, unfortunately, the Padres don't have a better option than Trent Grisham. So I think they're going to keep putting him out there, keep giving him those opportunities. Obviously when the matchups don't look good, they'll pull him. But as you said, the lefties, he's hit them quite well. Maybe you have to stop pulling him against lefties as well and give him some opportunities to get some consistency there against left-handed pitchers.
Yeah, Sugar's hitting 235. His OBP is 250. He's slugging 275, and his OPS is 525. I'll roll with Trent.
Trent has a 671 OPS. It's 125 points higher than Azocar with perfect defense.
Perfect defense, and his OBP is 318. So he's getting on 3 out of 10 times. It's about his career average, too. His career average in 5 seasons, 317. So his OBP is kind of what it is. Slugging's down career-wise. OPS is down a little bit. Average is down. But yeah, so I'm in
the camp of this is who Trent Grisham is.
Sure, yeah,
it's not a small sample size. He was this way last year. He was this year away in 2021. He had a good 60 game in 2020.
If my options are Brandon Dixon, Trent Grisham, or Jose Azocar, I'm rolling with Trent.
I agree,
and because the glove is factored in, and he's a better defender than Sugar. He's a better defender than Brandon Dixon in the outfield. And he's a better center fielder than Fernando Tatis Jr. is, I would imagine, right now as it stands today. So Trent is, it's certainly an issue, but like the bigger issue is Xander Bogaerts' wrist. The bigger issue is Manny Machado not hitting.
But as Bryce points out, it's not a slump. When he came back, he had a 2021 injury, and he came back in June from a foot contusion. Since then, 1,112 trips to the plate, 198 average, 653 OPS. I mean, that's 2 full seasons worth of at bats in which he's been a sub 200 hitter now in Major League Baseball. Unfortunately, that's now who Trent Grisham is. Now, it's possible to, improve on that and change again and become a better hitter. But long term, I don't know that my optimism for Trent Grisham is that high. Short term, though, I do firmly believe he's still the best choice for the Padres right now on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and again, if you can't plug that position with an elite center fielder with power and speed and great defense, then what you can do is put an elite right fielder over to center field and go get a better corner outfield. Sure, I'm all in favor of that. And Trent, sorry, man, you've had your chances. You're a platoon guy. You're gonna come off the bench. You're gonna be a defensive replacement. But
it's not Brandon Dixon or Jose Azocar.
It's definitely not.
All right, we will check traffic, then come back and wrap up the Monday edition of Ben and Woods.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Big Box Storage. Visit bigbox.com. Just one problem wrapping up our morning drive. Collision on southbound 5 near Genesee. It's been cleared over to the right shoulder. Need to rent a storage unit? Forget renting and loading a truck. Big Box Storage delivers the storage unit right to you. Load it at your convenience and it'll pick it up and accessible in your storage. Get the storage you need with free delivery and pickup at bigbox.com. Down with Ben and Woods, San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97 fan.
We will all be at the game tonight. Hopefully reaching a win. Why don't you make this promise? Tomorrow, win or lose, let's come in with the same attitude.
Okay.
Let's just, I don't want, if they win, doesn't fix everything that's wrong with this team.
That Friday night game ruined me for about a week. Really ruined me for about a week.
And if they lose, we're no different than we were the day before. We're just still in the.
Just mow your own grass. How about that? Don't worry about my lawn. My lawn's fine. Okay, that's a pointed comment at me.
What makes you think that I am directing that comment? It could very well be directed at Paul.
It's not. I know who it's directed at. I know.
It's just a general comment toward the Ben and Woods program. One in particular.
What he's going to
do
gets
overly emotional about the results of the baseball team.
What he's going to do is make me go the opposite. I'm going to come in. If they win, I'm going to come in tomorrow with my pants off, and we'll do the show tomorrow. Okay.
What happens if they lose then?
My pants are on. I'll wear a sweater. Yeah. If you see us at the game, say hello. Looking forward to getting out there with the boys tonight. And seeing you guys, your lovely Paulie will see your wife. Your son Jack's coming.
Yes, he is.
Visit with Jack, chop it up. I'm going to give him some life advice tonight. How do you feel about that?
I love that.
He'll be there before you. Oh, yeah. I'm going to get in his ear.
I gave your kids some life advice on Friday night.
Just stop acting like heathens. Didn't work.
Use the damn potty.
Yeah, use the potty.
That's it for us today. Coach John Quintero program coming up next. For Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The